Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the Fan Bros podcast. We have a very special episode today. We are going to do movie commentary for Captain America Civil War, a film that I'm sure several of you saw. If you're joining us for the first time, basically what this podcast is it's just a bunch of bros who really only care about doing chess day and watching comic book movies. I'm your host, Jeff Hornacek. We'll go around the horn real quick. With me is Matt Geiger and Brian Banner, my two partners in crime. Matt, tonight, how excited are you to watch this movie?
I'm really excited. I saw it in theaters at midnight on Cinco de Mayo, so I was shit-faced hammered and also had a lot of tortilla chips in my belly. So tonight I'm not hammered yet, but will be. But actually didn't like it very much, typically the ending, so I'm ready to give it another view.
Do you have tortilla chips again this time?
No, I left those out, but I am drinking a Cerveza Corona.
All right, it's good to replicate kind of the same experience.
Absolutely.
Brian Banner, on the other side of the panel, how you feeling about this?
I'm super excited. Again, I saw it on May 5th, 1996, and
that's not true. But yeah.
No, it's not. But it was May 5th, and I was drunk like Geiger. Unlike him, I liked it the first time. There were some things that I would have liked to change. But I still really enjoyed it, and I'm ready to hash out some of my feelings with you guys.
If this movie came out in 1996, it might have been directed by Joel Schumacher, which, perfect segue. Before we get the movie started, guys, basically what this is, we're gonna have it paused right now at the 1991 is what the screenshot is, with the mountains in the background. So you can just press play and watch the movie along with us, and we're gonna commentate on it. And let's start play in 3, 2, 1, go.
And also check out our Batman and Robin commentary we did last week, because it is fucking hilarious.
Yeah, that's one other thing we want to say. If this is the first time you're checking us out, we appreciate you guys joining us. And we've also done commentary on Batman and Robin, the Joel Schumacher classic, as well as The Force Awakens, another small independent film.
Since this is 1991, I'm anxious to see if the technology is actually real.
Are we going to have any Tamagotchis or maybe like a Game Boy? Just so I know I'm caught up, is the guy punching in the key right now?
Actually, I just saw Winter Soldier. The little shield thing is coming up. I may be a little ahead. I can pause for like half a second.
Yeah, pause for like a second or two.
1 Mississippi, go.
Okay.
Bucky screaming?
Yep.
No, Winter Soldier, when he comes out of that tube, looks like a kid who was tricked into going to the dentist. His mom didn't tell him he was getting a cavity filled.
His haircut is very 1996.
A little Kurt Cobain-ish.
Grungy type, Pearl Jam versus Nirvana type guy.
It's way better than how they have his fucking outfit in the comic book, I think.
Yeah.
The cool thing about this mind wipe is in, obviously, Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Alexander Pierce does the exact same thing to wipe his mind clean. So it's cool. It's cool to see, like, man, this guy's brain has been thrashed more times than Courtney Love. They basically, every time they need him to go on a new mission, they just sit him down and we'll just run a few volts through him. I'm not going to hurt anybody.
I think this is weird, though. I mean, there's some words, I'm not programmed or anything, that, piss me off if you say them. One is cash bar. Harambe is another word that, really gets my ticker fucking ticking. So,
yeah.
You don't necessarily have to be, in a trance or anything to pick on some of these words.
We can all relate to this. We all have a weird combination that gets us set off.
Like, why did an open bar? I'm here for the wedding. Give you guys gifts. Makes no sense.
Yeah, part of the reason I celebrate is I don't have to pay for my drinks.
It's like, I don't even think this marriage is going to last. So, I mean, it would help if I could throw down a few mixed drinks.
Do you guys like this misdirect here? Spoilers, this is a misdirect.
Yeah, the Russos did a really good... It's kind of interesting with, like, the way that this plot device is set up is like this... Like, the entire time you're... And obviously it's foreshadowing, I'm assuming you've seen the movie. You don't really understand what Zemo's after the entire time.
Yeah.
Until the very end, so that kind of...
Sorry to interrupt you, Jeff, but this is the coolest start to a comic book movie all the time when Marvel does these flipping of the pages of the comic books. I fucking love it.
It is so badass. Especially...
I wish DC had some type of consistency like they do, but it is so cool.
It makes me want to go out and this is probably exactly what they want and spend like fucking $100 on comics.
Yeah.
Here's the third Olsen twin getting a chai latte.
Uncle Jesse just dropped her off before, because the Rippers had a gig up the street.
No, man, I think that's different continuity. I don't think this is in the same.
They got to sing Forever one more time so they get that, royalty check.
I'm going to say something controversial right off the bat. I think she's the hottest Olsen twin.
Absolutely.
Not controversial at all.
I just know, like, the Mary-Kate and Ashley have the twin thing going on. That's a pretty big...
Yeah, here's the thing. Growing up, I mean, obviously, Full House was on when I was a kid, and I was/am the twins' age, and I had a crush on them the entire time until I knew Elizabeth Olsen was a person, and I was like, fuck you guys. She's way cuter.
If you lined them all up and said I could have sex with either one of them, I would ask, could I ask them questions? They said yes. Okay, which one of you killed Heath Ledger? One of them would raise their hand. Kay, you're out, and you look like her, so I'd pick, this one.
We're really on a roll here, and I hate to divert a little bit, but the first time I saw this scene, the first thing I could think was, and obviously it's kind of answered later, but I really wanted War Machine to be with them, because at the end of Age of Ultron, they obviously set him and Vision up as part of the new Avengers. And sorry, real quick, this drone is much better than Red Wing in the comics, which is a Falcon who perches on his arm who has psychic abilities. This was
it's a real Falcon. It's a little unrealistic in the comics, but I think that's kind of what makes all these movies really cool. Is that the comics tell one story, and this is the Russos and Kevin Feige's interpretation of that story. It's the same story, but kind of changed a little bit with things that they like, and that's why I like all these movies. Same with, even as I know I shit on DC a lot, but those movies the same. They have those subtle differences that make them good.
This is the Russos even said an homage in The Dark Knight to the scene where Heath Ledger has the semi truck flipped.
Oh yeah,
that crash was.
To go out on a little bit of a limb here, of every character in this movie, the one I wanted to see more of is Anthony Mack. Even more than Black Panther, even more than Spider-Man. I think he does a terrific job.
He's really good. And he is so gung-ho about this role, it's really kind of fun to see. Like how pumped, like all the press he does, he's so jacked to have this character.
He's one of those guys that just gets his character, he gets his role, he does his job and doesn't do more. I wouldn't have minded seeing a little bit more of Crossbones in this movie as well. It was kind of cool to see them in it, or see Crossbones in it, but I would have liked to see more of him, or even just leave him out and bring him back later on in the franchise.
See, whenever this scene ends, I definitely had my hand on my head wondering, so are they going to kill Cap or not? Since in the comics, Crossbone, fires the shot. Because whenever I saw Civil War come across the very first time on the internet, or the first trailer I saw, I said, oh my god, they're gonna assassinate Captain America in this movie. So I definitely had waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, I definitely had those same thoughts, especially with the contract stuff with Chris Evans, and then he's made a few comments about how he would like to more only direct and not act anymore.
I'd be game for that.
Yeah,
he's gonna direct a Marvel film at some point. I don't know what it is, but if you made me bet right now, yes or no, I'd say yes.
I'll just get this out since this might be the first time a lot of people are listening to us, since this is a huge movie. I absolutely hate Chris Evans. I think he's a terrible actor. I wish, and don't put a gun to my head like, who else should you have cast? I don't know. I don't think John or Jim from The Office.
John Krasinski was the other finalist.
Yeah, but I just don't buy Chris Evans, especially in this movie. His character arc totally flips, and he goes on a side that you would never think Captain America goes on. But I just don't think he plays it very well.
He's in incredible shape, though. You have to give him that.
Yeah, but you gotta kind of back it up too.
They did a fantastic job with Crossbones' mask right there as well.
I agree, because his costume in the comics, if translated directly to this, people would have been like, okay, we get it, Bane light.
Yeah,
but they did the Russos do an awesome job of modernizing this stuff. Like things in the comics, like even Falcon's costume, they're like, there is no way we're going to put that on screen in a movie and have anyone take us seriously.
Yeah, we're not going to have him wear this diamond crown thing like he wears in the comics.
Falcon in the comics walks around like a jazzercise instructor who's on lunch break.
And I did read this comic start to finish before I went and got this movie last night. Now, I would have loved to see the New Warriors in here somewhere, and I'm guessing you guys can touch on this since I'm more of a DC guy and you guys are Marvel guys. I don't know who has them. I don't know if Fox has them, if they're technically X-Men characters or not. And I'm not saying they should be in the movie, just something where Cap and Tony are talking, and in the back there's like, new episode of the New Warriors this week. So this is like kind of a reality TV show. That would definitely be an awesome Netflix series for Marvel to do if they have them.
Yeah, Brian, I'll jump in real quick and then you can kind of explain further. But for those of you who didn't read the Civil War arc in the comics, that's fine because the movie takes, I think it's more of like an honoring the story as opposed to following it beat by beat. But this event sets off the Accords, an act by the government for superheroes to register with them to work. In the Civil War comic arc, there's a group of like kid superheroes called the New Warriors who accidentally blow up a school bus in Stamford, Connecticut.
School or something like
that. It's like pretty much half the city of
Stamford
in Connecticut, and they end up killing like 600 kids. They're kind of like the B squad. They're not even the B squad. They're like the middle school JV team, and they have to try and promote themselves. They're on a reality TV show, and Nitro is the bad guy in it, and he ends up blowing himself up and killing all these people, and that's what sets off what's equivalent to the Accords in this movie.
I have a really cool fact that a lot of people will like. So one of the African American guys working with Crossbones here, I'll point him out when I see him. He's a stunt actor named Damien Poitier, and at the end of the original Avengers, he is actually the actor who did the motion capture for Thanos. Josh Brolin had not been cast yet, and so you'll see him in a second. Brian, I know you and I listened to the Marvel Movie News podcast. Coy Jandreau is actually good friends with him.
Yeah, actually, I did know that.
But if you look at his face, there's a scene here where it's not that one. But there's a scene where he turns around. If you picture him as Thanos, he actually looks exactly like him at the end of Ultron. I believe he actually might even be the one who...
To touch off your point, and I love DC, but I'll even do a really bold claim. This is probably the best stunt man work ever in a superhero movie ever.
Yeah, it's all practical. This is done like similar to... This is Damien Poitier right here, who's Thanos. The fighting style, like, this isn't like some man just took her purse. You know, this is like very brutal...
Yeah. Scarlet Witch is the John Cena of the Marvel Universe. She has like 3 fucking moves whenever she fights. Want to get that WWE pun in there, but she only has like 3 moves. But she does the Hurricane Rado with her legs on the top of the thing and then punches him in the stomach.
Not to be that guy, but you're talking about Black Widow, not Scarlet Witch, correct?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Black Widow. Sorry.
Jeff, do you know, does Fox own the New Warriors? Because
I know that Fox owns Nitro, and I had assumed that he was part of the New Warriors as well.
Okay.
Another funny thing right there, one of the terrorists says, drop it, he'll do it. It'd be funny if the other terrorist is like, all right, Devin, I can speak for myself, okay? I will tell him that I will do it. I don't need you always fighting my battles. This is why we can't work together.
So Fox has the New Warriors?
Yeah. I mean, they have Nitro, which I believe...
I can't wait for them to reboot it 4 fucking times so it doesn't make sense, but still all connects. That'll be fun.
You don't get it? How it...
One thing that I want to get on here, because throughout this whole movie, we're gonna obviously be comparing it to the comics. We have to remember that this is a Captain America story, not the Civil War story, and I think that's something that going into this, I definitely had skewed. This is just a Captain America story that happens during the superhero Civil War, as opposed to the story of the superhero Civil War. So a lot of things have to be different in order to promote that as a Captain America story.
Since you brought it up, though, you don't put Civil War on the movie if Cap doesn't die at the end.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that later. Yeah, we'll definitely get into that closer to when it should happen. But
I'm like a caged animal in this, Brian. You got to.
I know you are. I know you are.
Down.
I know. We got the choke chain on. We've got the harness on. It's taken everything.
I've read so much stuff on this, the Civil War comic, a bunch of background stuff on this, just because I'm a DC fan, and Marvel fans have just bashed BBS, and I've kind of had enough of it. I would love to actually talk about this at the end. I'm really excited, actually. Even though I did like the movie. I did. I just didn't like the ending.
So this is basically the equivalent of Nitro, the Nitro incident from the Civil War comic arc.
I don't know how the fuck they did this scene, but it's brilliant. How did they make
this technology is unreal. You know, there's some people like Carrie Fisher's like, hey, if I could just get that technology for real life, I might actually be able to get laid.
If I was high, I would think I just walked into Pretty in Pink or whatever the fuck 80s movies Downey Jr. was in back in the day. Like, what the hell is this?
John Slattery as Howard Stark is so perfect. No offense to Dominic Cooper, who played him in the original Captain America, but when you see Slattery, because his character on Mad Men is so much like Howard Stark.
And I love Mad Men, and this was such a great cast as Howard Stark. And also, Downey looks like a really skinny Mark Cuban to me every time I see this.
I can totally see that.
He does.
Like, if he was screaming at a ref right now, I'd be like, what's Mark Cuban's kid doing here?
I mean, this technology is fucking incredible.
It's the same technology they used on Hank Pym and Ant-Man. What's the actor?
Michael Douglas. Yeah.
Michael Douglas, yeah.
Which,
hey, Brian and Jeff, to touch on thing we already did, The Force Awakens, why the fuck didn't they use it on Fisher?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
She looked like shit the whole
Carrie
movie.
Fisher probably asked, like, is there a way you can do this to me, but like in real life?
Guys, they were like, this technology's good, but it's not that good.
That's where someone would say they did. I'm like, my God.
JJ would be like, Carrie, that's half the goddamn budget. If you want us to do it on you.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
That's the only reason that George Lucas had to sell it to Disney was because in order to afford it.
So this is, and Matt, you and I talked about this at length over the course of the week, but this movie definitely has multiple tones to it that make it kind of hard to really kind of pinpoint what it is. But we can all agree that the first act and a half of it have a very character-driven and kind of more serious part. Like right here, Tony, that's the last time he ever saw his parents.
Yeah.
And right after the scene, he's going to reference how, which was a really good callback to Iron Man 3 when he said he would destroy his suits and he didn't, how Pepper has essentially left him because of it. So you can see that Tony already comes in a place where the Avengers are really all he has, and he just wants to do right by them, and this scene coming up here will kind of set his motivation in line for the movie.
Well, I'm actually going to eat my words on a couple things. And one is I said that it was too light for me. After touching back on it last night, I watched the first probably hour of it. It does match up with the trailer really well. There's only one problem I had, and that was the airport scene. That was the only thing. Actually, it was, not crazy dark, but it did have a really good tone to it that kind of came off the trailers, I believe. The other thing I'm actually going to eat my words on, I haven't talked to you guys about Spider-Man here in a little bit, because I kind of changed my mind on him after kind of watching this again last night.
So the Russo brothers, Anthony and Joe Russo, who wrote, well, they directed it. Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely wrote the movie, but they obviously did a lot of work on Community. And there's kind of a running theme in all their movies where they have cameos from a lot of people from Community, and you're going to see one right here, the bald gentleman with glasses when he walks off stage. But see the callback right there to Pepper, you're watching the theaters, you're like, wow, what the hell happened?
Yeah, because kind of the last time we see Pepper, Tony and Pepper on a really good note at the end of Iron Man 3, and then in Age of Ultron, him and Thor are having a little big dick contest.
Thor wins.
Yeah. During that little party, so it's kind of crazy to see that, oh, hey, they just left her out.
Stark wasn't as Stark in this movie either, I don't think, which kind of goes along with the tone I think they're trying to do. He didn't have, until the Spider-Man scene, I didn't think he didn't have as much lightheartedness to him.
Yeah.
That to me kind of goes back to how he's portrayed in the comics during this time. He's a lot more serious and a lot more, this is how things have to be to move forward. And that's one thing I think that they did a very good job on, translating the comic story to this movie.
Also, guys, you realize what we're watching here right now is probably multimedia history taking place. This is the first crossover from Netflix to the movies.
We'll get into that later. I can already tell me and Geiger are going to get into Netflix crossover into this movies. I can I'm excited for that, but we'll wait for that for a little later.
But Alfre Woodard, the actress here, her character whose son died in Sokovia at the end of Age of Ultron, it was collateral damage in the fight versus Ultron. She is a large character in the Luke Cage series.
Yep. She's like a social worker in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really excited. That's only like, what, 10 days, a week away?
Yeah, like a week away.
Yeah, it's September 30th, I think, right?
I'm so excited. I don't know if I can think straight because all the blood in my head has rushed to my dick.
Daredevil Season 1 is the best thing Marvel's ever done.
And
I like Season 2 better because of Punisher.
Other than the fight scene in Season 2, when he puts the Punisher in the elevator and he's fighting all those guys down the stairs, that's the best fight scene in the MCU 100%.
Guys, we got to be careful because we could talk about Daredevil fucking for the whole.
Jeff, you know why I love Season 1 is because I love a good slow cook. And they slow cooked that season so hard. Even when he put on the suit, I'm like, already? Jesus, it's only episode 15.
I remember you called me after like 8 or 9 episodes, and you were like so glad that he hadn't like put on the Daredevil
I'm like,
suit
don't
yet.
you dare put on that suit. You better still have that black mask on or like a stocking cap that you cut in half. There's Chris Evans acting his ass off.
The new Avengers Tower is like the one that they had at the end of Ultron and that Ant-Man went to is just so badass.
I like how they brought in Wakanda and they brought in
T'Chaka.
Yeah, thank you. Obviously, I've been drinking. How they brought that in and kind of flipped the script on that, because I was curious how they were going to bring Black Panther in, knowing that he was already going to be the king of... you all right there, buddy?
Yeah, I was going to say, sorry to interrupt you, but Geiger's favorite scene in the whole fucking movie is about to happen here. When the Vision shows up.
I know you love the comedy.
When he actually walks through the
There's
door.
an Avengers cover where he has on this exact outfit playing chess, and the comic is from like the 70s. I think it was like the Steve Ditko run of the Avengers. And I get that the Russos were trying to pay homage, but like some things just don't translate.
I get that they're trying to pay homage. Then bring Superman's underwear back. And I was...
I'm not arguing with you on this one.
I don't even want to say this, but bring the fucking Bat submarine back, which I think is the stupidest idea ever, but I know Snyder will probably fucking bring it back in Justice League. I cannot wait for Thanos to rip this fucking dude's head off and take that with him.
Parker's going to be the only one in the theater.
PC, right? So the LGBTQ whatever R, I don't know what the R stands for, will be happy because Vision's in this thing. He's the C-3PO of this whole deal, even though I think he's trying to get with the Olsen twin here later.
He is. They date in the comics. Geiger's going to be the only one in Infinity War when Thanos rips the soul gem out of his head, who starts cheering and clapping out of control.
Be like trying to clap a 3-year-old beside me. I'm like, come on!
Let's go!
I love that they brought Ross back into it. It's really the first time that they acknowledged that the Incredible Hulk was a movie in the MCU.
I was so glad for that.
Was this the first time he's been in it since the after credit scene where him and Tony were at the bar?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Ruffalo referenced the fight against the Abomination in Harlem. And then obviously Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has talked about Abomination a lot, but this was a nice callback.
Yeah, Vision definitely checked his mail 2 weeks before the shooting because he got the Men's Warehouse like half off everything in the store thing. He looks good.
It was BOGO. It was buy one, get one. Are you just going to not take advantage of that? This is a great scene. I love this.
Here's a question: do you guys like Ruffalo's Hulk better than Norton's?
I love them both, but I think Ruffalo is the Hulk that we all know. Like that's
it's hard to say because he's never had his own standalone film,
which I would love, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of stories that have been untold that you could still go for.
I like Ruffalo as the Hulk. His face and everything kind of fits that better for me. But I think that Norton was a better Bruce Banner.
Yeah, it's just Norton's just nuts. So it's Ruffalo is more down to play ball, and he's just as great as actor as Norton, really.
Yeah, so, it wasn't a bad recast at all, and that's why it's such a tough topic, really, because both of them did a fantastic job in their own right. They're just slightly different. I just wanted you guys to pick.
We did go from Katie Holm to Maggie Gyllenhaal on that one. It was actually kind of an even scale. Is this where they introduced the Superhero Registration Act?
So is Ross
which they should have called it?
Yeah, I agree. That would have been cool. Although some people would say it. I mean, a little bit on the nose, but the Accords isn't. I don't really even know what that means.
I thought it had something to do with the guitar, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, the after credit scene in Ant-Man is them referencing the Accords, and at the time you're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
I just wish that. Well, we haven't seen anything since this, I guess, but I hope that this is a bigger deal than just this movie. I would like it to come up in Luke Cage when someone asks him, you know, if Daredevil or Punisher has one scene with him, hey, are you going to sign over to this act? And it could be something that you get on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Doctor Strange, where every superhero is either for the government or he's an outlaw.
S.H.I.E.L.D. did about a 4 or 5 episode arc on this.
I love that you watched that.
Yeah, I think there's 3 of us in the world, and we meet up on Tuesdays.
First time ever Cleveland's been in all caps in front. Usually you don't, prefacize you're in Cleveland. What if that was the only one that was in lower caps over this? It's such a shitty town.
What if the Russos
they've got 2 championships right now, guys.
What if the Russos just wanted to take a sheep shot and they said Cleveland and then in parentheses, shithole?
Yeah, shithole.
And somebody in the audience like, what the fuck, man?
What if you said Cleveland? Wait, sorry, Miami. Just bring that fucking thing back. Like, come on.
Zemo's like, I'm not going to get 1 Winter Soldier, not 2, not 3.
Not 4.
6 or 7, maybe.
And then I'm going to bail after 4 years.
This is a really interesting introduction to Zemo, because you don't know, is this dude some, raging psychopath who's going to murder everyone? Or, because then you realize he's actually much more cerebral in his approach. At
this point, I had no idea where they were going with Zemo. Absolutely
I just didn't want him to put on the purple sock mask that he wears in the comics, and I'm glad they didn't.
I'm glad they left that out. At this time, I was wondering, okay, are they just having this character in because if they don't, people will be pissed because he does have a big role to play in the comics? But they did actually use him very well. This scene is badass. This scene's really cool.
I never even thought of this as a torture technique until I saw this, and then I was like, that sounds awful.
Yeah, it sucked. And this guy, if you haven't seen Inglourious Bastards, does a very good job in that one for Tarantino. That's the only thing I know him from, actually.
He's also in a movie with Chris Hemsworth called Rush about IndyCar racing.
Oh, okay, he's in that, okay.
Yeah, the Ron Howard movie.
See, that's the thing, man. Hemsworth is a great actor. He's used this as a platform. Name one fucking movie besides this Evans is in that's worth a shit since he's done this.
Daredevil? No, I'm sorry, Fantastic Four.
Okay.
That was before this.
Hey, Banner, thanks for coming on the pod, man. Have a good night.
Why don't he just stick a banana up his ass again and do Not Another Teen Movie 2?
Wasn't he in, what was that one where they try and steal the SAT scores? Accepted?
The Score. Scarlett Johansson's in that, too.
Yeah.
That's a prequel, I think.
To what?
To the whole MCU.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, these guys from Hydra, mad respect, but at this point, I just fucking tell this guy whatever he wanted. But look, man, that was 15 years ago. Sure. 25 years ago, actually. Good math, Jeff.
I'd be the worst person to held hostage because before you even pinch my nipple, I'd be like, just give me a pen and paper. I will write down everything and sign it.
I wouldn't even get to the point where I was hung upside down. This guy would already have more information than he needed.
Yeah.
Who did it? I'd be like, Craig. Okay.
Fucking horoscope, too.
Craig did it. All right, you want his address? I'll give that to you. Here's his email.
I can drive you there if you want.
I'll take you there. These streets get confusing. Let me just take you.
Yeah, there's so many one ways. It's really hard to get there.
Yeah, you can keep my pride just as long as, I have my life the next day.
I love this. Just cold-blooded. He's like, oh, well, fuck you. I don't give a shit.
This is a great scene.
This is like DC level stuff. Like him fucking first scene he's in, just kill some guy in a sink.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know, you guys may not even be able to answer this. Does the Accords mean something like international? Because obviously the Superhero Registration Act was just America in the comic books, but obviously the Accords, we have 117 countries. Does it have something to do with that? Do we have any idea?
Well, I know obviously for this they have to tie it into what's happened in the MCU, and the best thing they have is collateral damage from all the activity the Avengers have done.
I'm gonna Google what is an Accord.
The thing that I don't get is that they're signing it so basically the government can take, the blame basically if there's any damage or something to a country that they send them to go fight in. Which, in the real thing, because this is supposed to kind of be realistic, our government could give a fuck less. They, just like Team America, we go over and just blow shit up, then we kind of build it back and stuff.
Right.
But they just kind of want them to be guns for hire. They just don't want to keep answering questions. Why can't you control these guys in your own country?
Yeah, basically they want to be able to tell the Avengers when and where to go, which is pretty realistic. Like, General Ross has the analogy, like, do you know where Thor and Banner are? And Cap's like, no. And he goes, yeah, if I misplaced 30 megaton nukes, I would probably not have my job.
I just wish there was a little more recruiting. Not, okay, I mean, the teams, I could have picked the teams before this thing. If you would have just gave me the superheroes, I said, well, he's going to be with Cap, he's going to be with Iron Man. I wish there was a little bit more recruiting going on. It just seems Tony and Cap made up their mind and everyone just kind of followed in place after him.
Yeah, the interesting thing about this, in the Civil War comic arc, Tony Stark is actually a huge dick the whole time. The Russos do a really good job of painting two essentially protagonists where the audience can kind of choose. Like, you may talk to 10 people and 5 of them side with Cap, 5 side with Tony. After
and that's a great point, Jeff. Before this came out, I vaguely remember sending drunk selfies to each other where I was very Team Cap and you were very Team Iron Man at that point.
Yeah.
Just from the trailer, they painted that picture.
I'm still Team Iron Man. I agree with you.
Fuck you, you're dead to me.
I'm Team Cap and I fucking hate it because I hate Evans and I don't trust our government, so I'm definitely Team Cap. You can't, what if, someone has your wife and your government's like, no, we don't want you to go on that. That doesn't make any sense. You just can't do it. So I'm definitely Team Cap.
This whole powwow discussion, I really like how you have it's really a house divided, a family divided feel to it, where, hey, there's an issue at hand as a family or a team or whatever, they're really hashing it out, and you can get that no hard feelings, but we're going to say what we mean right now. And they did a really good job with that, everybody getting their licks in, and it kind of goes, what you really like, Geiger, is they're showing us, not telling us.
Yeah, this is one of the best, besides the fight scenes that are very well done, I think this is probably the best scene in the movie, where they're just sitting around. It's very humanizing to all these people that have special powers because they have to make a decision.
And it's great dialogue.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of, to me, it's the flip opposite of the scene in Ultron when they're all sitting around after the party drinking before Ultron comes up. That was very lighthearted, but you still have that family, after a party we're all hanging out. This is the flip side of that of, okay, not everything is great, but we still have to talk all this out.
I love the line Tony says to Steve where he goes, if we don't do this now, it'll be done to us later. And
that's true, too, yeah.
And I also love the line, too, because it shows, like you were saying, Geiger, even though they're divided on the issue, they're still a team because Wanda says, that means the government will come for me, and Vision goes, we would protect you.
Yeah.
So this is a cool scene. This is obviously Agent Peggy Carter of the original Captain America, of the ABC show Agent Carter, which, yes, I watched both seasons. She is Steve's longtime love interest, and she has passed away. Rest in peace.
They actually, the day I bought it, I watched the entire movie, I watched all the extra features, and I watched 3/4 of the commentary, all in one night. This was one of the extended scenes, and all we got, Geiger, was more Chris Evans acting the shit out of it with fake crying. It was fantastic.
And we also got more Emily
How
Van
many
Camp.
times, like in Tropic Thunder, Ben Stiller had to try to fucking cry on that thing. I wonder how many times it took Chris Evans to try to cry on this. His character arc's just boring to me, and maybe I'm always trying to see the other side of shit. Maybe it's because it's fucking the Winter Soldier every fucking time he's on screen. It's something to do with him. But he just doesn't carry it all. In this movie, I honestly thought, okay, I'm actually going to like Chris Evans because he's going to switch to a side that I can actually kind of see, because I always just thought he was kind of the Boy Scout of shit, which is the reason in the DC I'm not too fond of Superman, really, all the DC people. But I just don't think his character arc, he had a chance here, and he played the role exactly the way he's fucking played it in the first one with Tommy Lee Jones, and just every fucking thing he's ever been in, I guess. He doesn't flip for me at all.
Not related to that,
he's
but
torn because he's looking at his shoes and he's like, I don't know what to do. But you just saying that, it's not believable. Everyone else does a very good job.
this isn't going to advance the conversation at all, but Emily Van Camp, who plays Sharon Carter, is very attractive.
Oh, yeah.
Continue.
Well, then ScarJo, too, that's another one that I know a lot of people are sick of. And that's one that I just feel, hey, she's here, she's hot, we'll give her some fighting scenes, but they don't give her much to do either in the last couple
Yeah,
movies.
her best role, and with the most meat on it, was in Winter Soldier, by far.
Yeah.
I think that she was hottest, though, in Iron Man 2.
Agreed?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think Thanos...
with those curls in her hair?
Thanos is going to toss her around like a rag doll. It's not even going to be.
Whenever Tony says, I want one.
I want one.
He's like, no.
She's fluent in Latin. Do you speak Latin? And Pepper goes, no, it's a dead language. He goes, well, she speaks it. What does she say when she comes in? She's like, she is a very potentially large sexual harassment lawsuit to Tony.
And after that scene is kind of when that movie went downhill for me.
There's a really fun... Not to...
I love Iron Man 2 because
Sam Rockwell.
I like Iron Man 2. It had a ton of potential if you would have just let fucking my boy Mickey Rourke loose.
That's
He's
what
like
I'm saying.
the greatest actors you've ever fucking casted in a whole Marvel movie, and you just shit on him.
And you guys, they had a great bad guy in Whiplash, and they were just like, nah, it's cool, fuck it.
But and Geiger knows this, I love Sam Rockwell. I wish he was in more stuff. He is hilarious as Justin Hammer.
Yeah. That short film, and
I love Rourke. I just love Rourke.
Hornacek, you and me talked about this the other day in the short story on, what was it, Thor: Dark World?
Yeah, the Geiger's seen it, the Mandarin, where they fix the Mandarin.
Mandarin in jail. He's so fucking funny in that.
So back to the movie. This, of course, is T'Challa, the Prince of Wakanda, played by Chadwick Boseman, a.k.a. Jackie Robinson, a.k.a. James Brown.
There's a lot of people that shine in this movie, and he is definitely one of them. Chadwick did a fantastic job. Not a big Black Panther fan ever, but after I watched this movie, once I went home, I started fucking Googling Black Panther shit, which you do a really good job.
His solo movie, directed by Ryan Coogler, who did Creed, is going to be incredible. I cannot wait for that.
Yeah.
So Chadwick Boseman actually said that the accent for Wakanda he actually perfected on his own. He just listened to different African dialects, which makes me think, number one, if I did that in real life for anything, I would be considered a fucking lunatic. And number two, as an actor, like, how do you even do that and not sound like a total idiot? That's pretty impressive.
Well, he went to South Africa for was it a month or 6 weeks or something to quote unquote study for this role, and that was part of it was just to immerse himself in the African culture, which I thought was really cool.
He's the next Denzel, man.
Yeah.
For people who
can see
don't know.
He's got a big movie coming up. I'm super excited for it.
Denzel?
Yeah.
Yeah, good friend of mine. Good friend of the pod. We should have him on soon.
Yeah.
His son's on Ballers, too, which I actually just finished an episode before I jumped on here.
What's his son's name? Quenzel?
I don't know his real name. His name's Ricky Jarrett in the show. He plays a wide receiver.
Does he look like him? Like Denzel?
Yeah, he does actually look like him. Explosion.
Super emotional right here.
Yeah.
This is a good sets up his story for this this movie. Just I don't give a shit what side I'm on. I have one goal in mind, and I'm going to do whatever I have to do it.
And Banner, people don't understand how tough that is to have such a busy movie with so many people in it that you have to set up Black Panther and then here in a little bit Spider-Man. And Black Panther, they do it in such a short period of time, but they do it so well.
And you cannot give the Russos enough credit for this movie. This could have been an absolute clusterfuck shit show. They did an incredible job of making an ensemble movie with still having to give like Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans their due. I think that's the most impressive part of this. That's why I have so much faith and excitement about Infinity War with them, because it's literally probably more than twice the size of the cast.
Because this is an Avengers movie, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So it's called Captain America Civil War. This is an Avengers movie.
Every scene with Captain America and Agent 13 or Sharon Carter, whatever you want to call her, is so awkward. And I think that's because the way that Chris Evans is playing this romantic role, but it's just so fucking awkward. There was a cut scene where they were actually on a date, and it was so much worse than just that.
Yeah, I think he ordered a Stella, too, if I remember right in the scene.
Yeah, he did.
Because Captain America would order European. What the fuck? Are you serious?
And they got a spin dip, too. It hadn't come out yet.
He spent some time there, Geiger.
Yeah, but I didn't buy their love interest. Actually, I think, once again, we always talk about movies when we watch these. Something that could have been completely out of the movie and we all would be totally cool with it. That is one thing for me. The whole love story with them.
Yeah,
I actually didn't even realize there was a love story in it until I went back and watched it again when it came out on Blu-ray. I was like, oh shit, I totally forgot about this. It was that bad and that insignificant.
This is where Black Widow realizes that T'Challa, while we don't know he's Black Panther yet, she realizes, like, this guy is about to go fucking crazy now that his dad was killed.
Are we kind of sick of ScarJo always being kind of the nurturer, since that's not really her character? But
yeah, considering she burned down a hospital in her adolescence.
They're just looking for something for her to fucking do.
Yeah, which is really weird because that's kind of opposite of what she is in the comics. Yeah. She's this cold-hearted, just crazy assassin bitch in the comics.
Yeah, she would be talking to someone after her dad. They'd just be like, "Yeah,
hey, how are you? I brought you a fucking lemon loaf." The biggest...
Some girls always ask, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, my fucking dad just got brutally murdered. No, I'm not okay.
I'm not fine.
I'm sorry.
I brought you a milkshake. Well, I'll take the milkshake, but I'm still not okay." I think the most telling scene about her character in all the MCU movies, I'd be interested to see if you guys agree or disagree, is the scene where Loki interrogates... she is technically interrogating Loki in the Avengers, but it's obviously the other way around.
One of my favorite actors of all time is Tom Hardy or Jason Momoa. If they were walking down the street in a hat and sunglasses, I'd still know it was Tom Hardy or Jason Momoa. I wish he could have had like a hood on or something.
Yeah.
Or
Winter
maybe
Soldier
not so out in the open on this scene.
Winter Soldier was way more disguised, and they're both trying to hide right now.
Anthony Mac's just eating. He's protein.
It's bulking season.
It's fucking chest day, bro.
Yeah, it is.
I do like this. As he is, he still got played in 8 Mile by Slim Shady.
That's a great line. So Cap is referring to Bucky, and he's like, he'd do the same thing for me, and Falcon goes, in 1945, maybe.
I also like the follow-up scene. He's like, I just want to make sure that we're doing this right, because people that shoot at you usually shoot at me. Like, are we making the right decision here? He's still going to back him, but he's still making sure that I'm not following you blindly.
He has Falcon has a great line at the end of Winter Soldier before they go to attack the helicarrier, where he says, referring to Bucky, obviously, he goes, well, whoever you think he was right now, I don't think he's the kind of guy you save. I think he's the kind you stop.
Going forward, if they're really transitioning into kind of new characters to take over the Avengers helm, I'm totally down with Anthony Mack. Fucking seeing him in about 5 more movies and giving him a way bigger part.
I can't get enough Falcon. Would you guys prefer, I'd be interested to hear, because in the comics they both wear the mantle. If we do in fact lose Steve Rogers in Infinity War, which a lot of people are speculating, would you prefer Winter Soldier as Cap going forward or the Falcon? I personally would prefer Winter Soldier. just because of the metal arm. I think that'd be cool. But I still want Falcon to very much be a part of it.
I want Falcon. I'm sick of Winter Soldier. You've done this fucking story arc for like 10 years. Give me something else, I guess.
Real quick fact right here. Sebastian Stan is actually he has dual citizenship Romanian, so he's talking Romanian right here. He actually is talking Romanian. He knew it.
Alex English on the pod is also Romanian, so shout out.
Crazy. Going back to your question, Jeff. I don't really know. I wouldn't mind seeing both of them. I don't know. Dealer's choice. I really don't care either way. I think that having Sam Wilson as Cap is cool, especially because that means we're going to get more Anthony Mackie. But at the same time, the metal arm would be cool.
They kind of foreshadowed in Winter Soldier, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Bucky, for a moment when he was fighting Steve Rogers, still brainwashed, picked up the shield.
Well, and we also have to remember that, or think about this, which is one of the last scenes. A lot of people think that Steve Rogers isn't going to be Captain America, even in Infinity Wars, because he drops the shield, and that's
I think that I've actually
foreshadowing, being symbolic of he is done being Captain America.
You think he'll be U.S. agent, or what do you think he'll just be?
Honestly, I don't know. I have no idea because they can go so many different ways with it.
Yeah. You know, Winter Soldier does not have the best diet. What were those fucking Fig Newtons up on the top, or like Nutter Butters?
That's nothing that's not in my cabinet, and I have a fantastic diet.
No, I totally agree. I just feel like you and him. I guess he has a metabolism that burns like nonstop.
Even superheroes have a cheat day, Jeff.
Fine, guilty.
I read about you in a museum. So I remember whenever this movie was still in production, they released a photo of Captain America in that right there where he's in this kitchen.
I know
a lot of people thought, and I was guilty.
I know what you're going to say. I agree with you here.
Yeah, I thought he was talking to Peter Parker.
Yep.
I was actually very pleasantly surprised when it wasn't Peter Parker and talking in Queens. This is about to start one of the best scenes of the summer.
That's so true. This doesn't have to end in a fight. He's like, it always ends in a fight. This scene is really cool, too.
When he covers up the bomb with his shield, I was like, oh, shit.
In the stairwell, you start to see Cap, like, yeah, he's talked about rebelling against authority, but right here, he actually might not give a fuck. Like, he throws that dude up, like, 3 flights of stairs.
All these fight scenes are so well done.
I know. I'm glad that the Russos know how to do action because we're going to need them to do some of the biggest action scenes in the whole MCU in the next couple of years. The metal arm is just so sick.
When he holds his hand up and blocks those fucking bullets, just like stop.
God, that's so awesome. And the stairwell part is my favorite scene.
He probably jerks off with his right arm, right? Because the metal arm, there's no way.
It depends. Like, if it's the hardcore stuff? Maybe
he might like it rough. I don't know. Could be like the Stranger, where he likes it cold.
This scene reminds me of the Daredevil Season 2 fight scene where he fights the what's the biker gang's name? The Hell's Angels.
Yeah, it's not as good though. This is not as good as Daredevil.
No. Yeah, when he fucking knocks the lights out with that chain, oh my god.
This is like elementary school compared to PhD.
He does something with his shield here. I can't remember. He like throws it into the wall or something really cool. That's awesome.
He catches himself just flying down 10 flights of stairs.
I think the shield is so cool because, like, it's unlike a lot of weapons that any MCU heroes have, and it's supposed to be a defense weapon, but he does not use it as that, really.
Oh shit, Black Panther.
Suit was perfect. Movements were perfect. Everything about Black Panther in this movie.
Yeah,
was
when people saw the first photos of him, they thought he looked dumb. They thought he looked like a Power Ranger. And I remember it was either Anthony or Joe Russo. He's like, if they think that, then just wait till they see the movie because he does not.
People, I hate how people compare. Like the new Batman suit just came out for Justice League. They're like, looks
Love
like
it.
Al from what was that Snyder movie? Did the
Watchmen?
Yeah, Watchmen. They all think Batman looks like Al from the Watchmen. I'm like, no,
Well,
he doesn't.
first off, Al was modeled after Batman, so yeah, he probably should. I don't know. On the message boards I saw, a lot of people really liked the new tactical suit.
I really like what Chadwick Bolt, like how he portrayed him in the fight scenes, really cat-like and getting down low, just like the comics. I was a little afraid that he was going to be a little bit more stand-up-y.
The all-vibranium suit is just so sick. Like, that helicopter shooting bullets at him, he's like, I don't really care.
This is my favorite scene right here.
I'm a fucking sucker for chase scenes, and this is fantastic.
It's not a douchey, like, Fast and the Furious, I don't believe anything I'm seeing chase scene. Like, they actually, the way they're running and stuff, it doesn't look CGI-ish. It doesn't look like they're on a court. It looks real. It's so well done.
I also love the scene at the end when War Machine shows up where it's like, congratulations, Cap, you're a fugitive.
If anyone listening is like, well, did you just call Fast and Furious douchey? Yeah, the movies suck. I mean, they're great, but they suck, so just...
But Vin Diesel, friend of the pod, come back on the show. We'd love to have you.
Yeah,
he's the next
Batman in one of our movies, wasn't he? One of you sick fuckers wanted him.
Ludacris, we're not interested in having you on, so stop fucking calling me.
Luda!
I can't wait for this fucking scene to come. When fucking Soldier takes that motorcycle is so goddamn
Oh,
bad.
yeah.
That, and then the way that whenever they collapse the roof and Captain America comes flying out of the car as it's like...
Oh, I forgot how he takes this.
Right here, this is when he takes the bike. Boom!
God, that's so sick. In one motion.
And again, like what you were saying before, Geiger, like, that's believable to me.
Yes,
like, I totally think he did.
The guy whose motorcycle he takes is...
fictitious world, but it's... If you read a comic and you think in your mind how this would play out on screen, that is how it's done.
The guy whose motorcycle he took was probably like going to meet up with a Tinder date for a hookup. He's like, this is a sign from God that I'm never going to get laid again. This is a sign.
It's right here when he just pushes himself back up.
When you're in high school and the chick you're banging is like, yeah, you only have 10 minutes till my parents get here. That's what you do when you fucking steal
Yeah, what Winter Soldier just did.
Well, I only need 3 once I'm there, so it's
That's
about,
right here.
Yep, this is awesome too.
God, this is so sick.
Just starts running. Yeah. That's a bitch tackle too. Like if you're gonna tackle him, hit him like a linebacker.
Well, at least he didn't go high on him because they always call that flag.
That's true. It would have been targeting. Suspended for 4 quarters.
Love War Machine's suit. We'll never get sick of it. Glad he's not Iron Patriot anymore.
Yeah, I like how they beefed it up a little bit too. It's not as Iron Man-y, where it's a little sleek.
Congratulations, Cap, you're a criminal.
Yeah.
That's a good line.
It's a great fucking line. By the way, Don Cheadle, really glad we have him in the MCU. I know his role is not as big as a lot of other roles, but he's just a really good, solid actor.
Your Highness?
Love this fucking suit, dude. It's just incredible looking. It just looks like Kevlar, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's made out of some material, I can't remember what it's called, but they only make it in this country.
Yeah, it's what Cap Shield's made out of.
Yeah.
In fact, that's why Wakanda in the comics always has people trying to fuck with it, because it's the only place that vibranium is made in the world. People are always trying to take
Vision
it.
cooking supper. You can't even get that right.
Jesus. Just order in, man. This is embarrassing. And then you have to pretend like you like it when you're eating it.
Don't get any on your sweater vest. Shit's... You gotta block that shit.
Yeah, don't you dare put that in the fucking washer machine.
It's an $85 sweater vest. You block that shit.
I could see Scarlet Witch. Vision, is this sweater vest machine washable? It most certainly is not. His say what you want about his character's not for everybody. He has different roles in the comics and the movies, but the makeup on him does look really good.
Yeah, it does. He just sucks, but yeah, it's fine.
He's married. Paul Bettany, the actor, is married to Jennifer Connelly in real life.
You didn't miss anything, Banner. Vision's just talking.
That's good.
C-3PO, the Marvel Universe.
I do like how well Olsen did right here, and even in Age of Ultron, how she got the hand motions down just like Scarlet Witch does in the comics. That's a big, like, her signature thing with her kind of her fingers bent that way. She did a good job of not fucking that up.
She's very good in this. I can buy her. I wish they would have kept Quicksilver around a little bit, because I love Quicksilver, and to be honest, who can do it better, Marvel or Fox? Well, Fox will try to do it 5 different fucking times, so they'll probably get one of them right, but Marvel will do it right the first time, so I really wish they would have kept it around.
It's funny that Vision is talking...
Test. You guys hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's funny that Vision's talking about the thing in his head. He's like, I don't know what this is. And it's like, ironically, that's the reason you're going to die at some point.
I can't wait for that scene.
It's pretty iconic in the comics. It's kind of like it's the moment that the Avengers realize they're totally fucked.
And shame on Vision. She is in a really bad place now, and he's just going after the rebound. That's not right.
He's like, I can't believe your ex-boyfriend was such an asshole to you. I would never do that. Tell me more about what he said, and while you do that, I'll order you another vodka cranberry.
Yeah. Let me order you more drinks while we talk about how your ex-boyfriend sucks.
How did you know I drink vodka cranberries? And then he turns to the bartender, they all drink vodka cranberries. Even a fucking genetic cyborg knows that.
Can you imagine if you were like one of those people crossing the road and you see that big ass like tank thing drive around? And you're like, something's happening. So, you like cats? Again, this is so believable, like realistic believable.
Any scene with him, you just kind of stop and listen to what he has to say, which kind of proves that he kind of steals the show in this. Doesn't have terribly much to do. I mean, he has a lot to do, but not anywhere close to some of the main guys. But I think he's doing it.
I'm actually thankful to Sony. The reason that Black Panther has such a big role is because Marvel didn't think they were going to get the deal done with Sony for Spider-Man, and so they rewrote the script to have Black Panther have a bigger role. And then they were like, "Oh shit, we did get Spider-Man. Well, it's too late now. He's too much of an integral part of the story. We'll just leave it how it is and kind of throw Spider-Man in like they did." So thank you, Sony, for that.
But let's not thank Sony too much, because they fucked up a lot before they finally handed over the keys to Spider-Man. But they got him back in perfect timing too, because Spider-Man does have, not necessarily in this movie as much as the comics, but he does have a lot to do with the Civil War story arc.
Oh, he's a huge part. He's the flipper.
Do you want to touch on that quickly? How just in the comic, Peter Parker was more of an adult. He was already married and everything, so it was definitely a different story arc. Now, this one, I definitely agree with him being younger, just because, and Jeff's a big player on this, his best stories are when he's in high school, and I totally agree with him on that.
Kraven's Last Hunt.
Yeah, but him in this movie, how they got him for the perfect time to put him in this movie, if you're ever going to introduce Spider-Man besides just a solo Spider-Man film, it has to be in Civil War. It was
I agree.
perfect time.
It was excellent. They didn't overplay their hand with it either, which is good.
And the nice thing here is they hinted like, hey, you don't have to sit through his fucking origin story again next time you see him.
Yeah, that was actually one of the first things that in the features they go through each character, and the Russos are talking about. They call him the rookie Spider-Man, and he's They're like, we've seen him. We've seen Uncle Ben die 10 times. We've seen this. We've seen this. We don't need any of that. We want to say, hey, come hang out with us. Do a fight scene. All right, we'll see you at Homecoming.
It's the exact thing, and I have to give him a ton of credit because I love this scene, and I know Geiger did too. The Zack Snyder's pseudo quote-unquote origin for Batman and BVS I thought was incredible. He told it in the prologue. It was done great with music and imagery in a flashback scene narrated by Affleck. I could not have done that better myself. And that's saying something because I'm a very talented director.
Do you guys, Banner, I read this somewhere, and a bunch of people said this, that they shouldn't have put Spider-Man in the trailer. It should have been a surprise. But the thing is, you have to show Peter Parker before you show Spider-Man, I believe anyway, in this the way they do this story. I loved him in the trailer. I think they showed him just enough. They barely showed him at the end. Do you think they should have put him in the trailer or just kept him a secret for the movie?
I don't think they were... I think they did it perfect. I don't think you could have kept it a secret. I think it would have been leaked anyway. So instead of letting it be leaked and have this big PR nightmare, they're just like, hey, this is what we're doing. At that point, though, we still didn't know how big of a role he was going to be. They're like, oh, shit, Spider-Man's in it. Again, in the comics, he's a huge part in the Civil War story. I think that at that point, I thought he was going to be, oh, shit, they have him. He's going to be in it. He's going to be almost a main player in it. And then they flip the script and you're like, oh, shit, he's not. That's awesome.
Sorry, this scene is incredible. It does. So the Russos, who are doing Infinity War, culmination of the whole MCU, this scene is the epitome of why they're the best directors. Tony has just referenced Iron Man 3, Ultron, his relationship with Pepper, how he really has never fallen through on any of the promises he said to her to destroy his suits. He's referenced his relationship with Howard Stark from the original Captain America movie, Steve's relationship with Howard Stark. And that's not only done, all those things connect every other movie to this movie, but it set up the dynamic and kind of the whole crux of how everything comes full circle when you realize the ultimate fate of Tony Stark's parents and how it all relates to Steve and Bucky. And they did all that in one scene where it didn't really feel like exposition. It just felt like two friends talking.
Yeah.
I think as much as we've been kind of shitting on Chris Evans, I think him and Robert Downey Jr.'s dynamic together on screen throughout all of the MCU has been fantastic. They have good chemistry, I think. I think Robert Downey Jr. brings the best out of Chris Evans.
Downey Jr. is Iron Man. I don't think you could ever recast him because, for one, if a person does a good job in a role for one movie and then you recast him 8 years later, that's one thing. But he's been Iron Man for literally, 6 movies now? He does such a great job as Tony Stark in Iron Man.
He was cast as Iron Man in 2006. The movie came out in 2008. So he has literally been Iron Man for 10 years.
Yeah.
This is a great scene. Right here, you really fucking empathize with both of them. Steve is, very close to signing. He's like, I just need to know that, you guys are going to put your foot on our throats. And Tony's like, totally. When he realizes that Scarlet Witch is being held at the compound, he's like, come on, Tony, help me out. And Tony has a great line. He goes, it's 100 acres. There's a screening room and a lap pool. There's worse places to be held prisoner.
It's fine. Jesus. There's kids right now without shoes.
Another cool thing, Martin Freeman, this is all kind of just fun how actors come full circle. So Martin Freeman, who plays Everett Ross in this movie, the elderly British gentleman, he's actually a commissary for the country of Wakanda to the United Nations in the comics. So we're assuming he'll be in Black Panther, which is great because he's an awesome character actor if you've seen Fargo or Sherlock or the Hobbit movies. But obviously in the show Sherlock, he is Watson to Benedict Cumberbatch's Sherlock Holmes, who, as we all know, is Doctor Strange in a few months. So it's there's only so many great actors out there, and Marvel seems to get all of them.
Who's so fucking excited for Doctor Strange?
I, said the cat.
That's one comic that I actually haven't read a whole lot of, but those trailers in that movie, I'm hooked. I'm so excited for it.
This guy right here...
I'm very curious. Not in a bad way that I think it's going to be bad, but just exactly how they're going to do it, I guess.
Scott Derrickson, the guy who did it, he is a dark fucking director. He did the movie Sinister. He's done a lot of, slasher films. It's not going to be Roses and Ponies.
Couldn't we have got a hotter chick for Cap to fall in love with, though? I don't think she's... She's not as hot as the chick that died back in the 40s.
Peggy?
Yeah.
Yeah. You should watch Agent Carter seasons 1 and 2.
I have errands to run and work, or I definitely would.
They're each only 6 episodes. What are your errands? I'll do them for you.
That's fine.
No, come on.
I don't watch Flash either, or Gotham, or anything like that.
So the trigger words that they say here, the only reason they picked them is because they sounded cool in Russian. Did you guys know that?
No.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. They're like, they have nothing.
It's not like kill or anything.
No, it's like
it's
hot
Freight
dog.
Train was one of them.
One of them is like one of the artists from these. I can't remember what the name is. If they didn't have the subtitles, I'd actually be really fucking scared. Then you realize he's basically saying like hot dog. When this EMP bomb went off, I actually had no idea where the plot was going, but like shit's about to hit the fan.
T'Challa's playing doo-doo jump on his phone right now.
T'Challa's like, well, I don't speak the best English, but I don't think that this is a word in Words with Friends that this guy just played. I will say, and I know Geiger and I talked about this earlier today, but we'll get to this later, but Zemo's motivations in this movie, I loved how they were not the cookie-cutter villain, like, I want to take over the world, I want to rule this. He's just a guy who's really pissed off that his family was killed. He doesn't want to hurt a lot of people if he can avoid it. He just wants to break up the Avengers.
I was shocked whenever, when every once in a while we hear him listening to that voicemail. I had no idea it was a voicemail until the very end whenever they showed he deleted it. I was like, oh shit, that's a plot twist. Not a big one, but it was enough. Homecoming foreshadowing? Maybe.
Wow. The one is just the number 1. I mean, we can do a little bit better than that, Hydra. Come on.
No, it sounds cool in Russian.
They should have made one like cock balls, just because it's fun to say every time,
Yeah, it's fucking Disney, though.
Hydra's not Disney, though.
Hydra was bored. They just did Hooked on Phonics Chapter 1 to find these fucking words. So
The second one got lost in the mail because they're at a fucking Antarctic base. What if I wish here Winter Soldier's like Mission Report 1991? Bro, I don't even know what the fuck I had for lunch. You want me to?
Yeah.
I'll kill anyone you want, but
Yeah, you guys put my brain in a blender 17,000 times. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Wonder who won the Super Bowl in 1991. I know who won the NCAA championship because that's the
Arkansas?
year. UNLV was undefeated in basketball. They were undefeated, and they took a dive against Duke.
Was it 94 that Nolan Richardson won with Arkansas?
It had been later than that because 90 UNLV won, and 91 they played Duke and lost.
I'm pretty sure 91 was one of the years that the Bills made it to the Super Bowl. And
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, they made it 4 years in a row, probably.
Yeah.
Hey, good for them, guys.
Excuse them for trying.
This is where you see Winter Soldier, like, when he is, like, pissed off like a badass, he can do some serious damage.
Yeah.
I'm guessing, because I thought it's because Everett Ross will be in Black Panther, I'm guessing they'll also bring back Ulysses Claw from Ultron because he's Black Panther's biggest villain. He's like his Joker.
ScarJo has literally nothing to do through this whole movie.
Yeah.
this watch hand thing that Tony Stark pulls out.
He's looking at him beating the shit out of these like trained guys. He's like, well, he'll probably beat the shit out of me, but I at least have this cool glove thing. I might as well try.
He catches a bullet right here.
It's so sick.
Yeah. And like the look on his face is like, whoa, I can't believe that worked.
And he has something very similar to this in Iron Man 3. Remember when he goes to that town in Tennessee with Harley?
See, in the NFL, he'd get 8 games.
There's her move.
For what? What did he even do?
He beat up a woman.
Yeah, but it'll get reduced to 4.
Yeah, with an appeal.
Well, actually, no, it was taped, so that's Ray Rice style. You're out of the league.
I mean, you can edit anything on a tape.
Oh, so you're only going to get 2?
Yeah, he's like, I literally told you everything that happened on it. Black Panther, you know, is a badass because he, without even his armor on, is going toe-to-toe with him right here.
I do love how none of them have their armor on this. It's really fucking cool.
These fight scenes are so mesmerizing.
By the way, them fighting against each other, not to spoil the end, but Ryan Coogler's teased that in the Black Panther movie we may see them fighting together.
Yeah, I can only assume, and I want to get your guys' opinion on this, that the Black Panther solo film is going to revolve around somebody trying to get Winter Soldier and T'Challa trying to protect him. Something along those lines?
Well, Michael B. Jordan's character, I can't remember, Man Killer or something along those lines. If it's the story about them in the comics, I don't know if they'll do that because it's very similar to Thor and Loki. So yeah, they may incorporate Bucky in some way. I was thinking maybe in like the climax of the movie they need him, so they activate Winter Soldier.
It would be a Jurassic World type thing. In the climax of the movie, we're like, "Hey, wake up, Winter Soldier, come and help us kill."
Which in the theater, that'll just be so sick. This is where I have to ask Chris Evans, do you lift? Because I'm not seeing any muscles on you, bud.
It's the only thing he does really good for his character is he does get in tremendous shape for.
So,
he's always in good shape anyway, but he gets in really good shape for this.
Couple of quick facts about this one. First off, Chris Evans said that all the scenes where he's in a shirt, they had to film first because he loses like 30 pounds in the suit filming. So, like,
plus, they were in Atlanta, which is like 110 degrees. That's where their studio is.
Another fact, every T-shirt that he is in is actually like a men's medium to make his muscles look bigger.
Well, that's cheating.
Last one, Geiger, you'll love this. He actually injured his bicep filming that because they pulled the crane that was holding the helicopter away too far, and he was literally legitimately trying to hold it in place, and he strained his bicep muscle.
This is some nice little imagery here. At the end of Winter Soldier, Bucky pulls Cap out of a river, and now you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours.
That pizza looks delicious.
What's that? Is that a pizza or a peach cobbler? What do we have here?
Sure.
I'm going to go with pizza because that sounds better.
So we didn't watch IMAX Into the Volcano to come here and eat peach cobbler, Mom? What the fuck?
It depends on where they're at, too. I can't remember the last bold letter of the city I've seen.
I believe they're in Berlin.
I think that's correct, so pizza, maybe.
What is this thing? I've been trying to figure this out. What's this thing his arm is in? Is it a big magnet? Or is it like a press?
It's a good question.
I have no clue.
But this is the after credit scene in Ant-Man.
Which was brilliant, in my opinion.
Yeah.
To put an actual scene from the movie in it.
This is great. Used to wear newspapers in your shoes.
Just like that, we're cool?
That's a great line because that's what the audience is thinking. Like,
yeah.
Dude, he just tried to kill all your friends. Geiger, to your point, and I appreciate you like rewatching it because I don't think I would have caught that. Like, so far, it really has not been that funny.
No, and I wouldn't have minded a little bit more jokes, which coming from me is saying a lot. Just leave my airport scene alone. Don't make a
Tony has actually been really depressing me the whole movie so
That's
far.
what I said. He is not the Tony Stark that I love.
No.
Now, I get that it goes along with the story, so I'm cool with it. But usually my comedy comes from
him, yeah.
Yeah, Downey Jr. Everything else I just think is kind of kiddie and childish.
Like you always said, like if Ant-Man shows up or if Star-Lord shows up and makes jokes, like we get that. But Tony in this has really only talked about losing his parents and about how like you can tell Pepper breaking up with him is like really fucked with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell throughout he's been in. This is his 6th movie now. Yeah, you can tell that he's in a bad place, and that's coming from somebody that was held in a cave for 3 months.
Yeah, and aside from the $20+ million he makes every time he plays the character, I think that's why Downey keeps coming back, because he has something new to do. This is just a bunch of guys just trying to get one last bump in before the bachelor party ends.
Again, this is another really good misdirect. I totally thought that what they were going to do was make all the Avengers and all the superheroes that were fighting each other all of a sudden go, oh shit, why are we fighting each other? We need to fight these guys. And then have a giant battle with all them versus these guys.
So I didn't even catch this the first time I saw the movie, but I caught it the second time when I went to see it in theaters alone by myself, like a fucking loser.
Like the rest of us.
Yeah, so the team Cap assembles is not to fight Tony at all. He doesn't even want to fight Tony. He was trying to bring all them here to fight what they suspected to be the Winter Soldiers that Zemo was going to activate.
Correct.
You know, the Russos tried. They probably asked Marvel, like, can we just fucking have all these guys fight the Winter Soldiers? And they're like, dude, we can't afford all these guys for 6 months of shooting. This is telling because you realize, yeah, you think Winter Soldier's crazy? There's a couple of these motherfuckers that are even more insane than he is.
They're all way more badass than he is, which is insane. Because he was one of the first ones they did, and technology grew, so they learned how to do it better. And that's what sucks is that would have been a good Avengers movie to see those Winter Soldiers versus the fucking Avengers that we'll never get.
But it was kind of a cool misdirect. Like I said, Zemo is not some guy that just wants to wake up. I want to control the world. Like when you show up, Zemo actually has killed all the frozen Winter Soldiers, if I remember right.
Yeah, at the end, and I was even kind of...
That's dark.
That was a plot turn that I did not see coming, actually. Everything else in this movie I kind of saw coming, but...
I love that.
I'm glad Ross came back, because I'll be honest, I thought... And obviously the Russos wanted to... The Russos did a great job of tying in the whole MCU in this movie. But I was worried that they would just bring Ross in for that one scene in the beginning to connect it to the Hulk. But Ross actually has a pretty big role in this movie.
He's a huge part.
Now, I haven't relived all these movies, I kind of remember, but are him and Banner cool right now? Him and Ross, or are they still kind of on the outs?
Well, it's kind of a weird dynamic because Ross has always wanted to weaponize Banner, and obviously we can tie into this a little bit later when we get to the airport scene about what they were planning to do with General Ross, but I think now he's almost playing nice because he has the role of Secretary of State, but he's always had another agenda.
Yeah, I think going off the movies, I think they're technically cool because
he probably hates him less.
Banner kind of saved his life, and obviously saved Liv Tyler's life as well.
I would love to see Liv Tyler in some movie coming.
She has said that Marvel has contacted her and she'll be back at some point. We don't know what.
I love her. As I said, that was the first boner I ever contracted in '90s when she's in the Aerosmith videos, and she did a very good job. I feel in the Hulk movie with Norton.
I actually heard a rumor. This was obviously unsubstantiated, but in Daredevil season 1, Claire Temple, who's the night nurse, a lot of people said that Betty Ross might be working at her hospital.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Which never happened.
Here we go, guys. Here we go.
Oh, God. My movie theater actively started applauding when this came out.
Yeah, everyone knew what was coming.
Tom Holland, I'm excited about him as Spider-Man. I really am.
Perfect casting.
He's a gymnast in real life. He does
he does so many of his own stunts.
He could be Spider-Man for the next 15 fucking years, man.
That's the plan, I don't even want to know how much of his life he signed away to Marvel.
Do we know how much money he's making?
No. Marissa Tomei, my God, be less gorgeous.
Yeah, she's hot, but she's not. I don't know. I don't like her as Aunt May.
It's weird wanting to bang Aunt May. I'll say that.
Robert Downey Jr. and her actually did a movie in the
Chaplin.
90s. Yep. Thank you, because I did not know the name.
And they dated in real life briefly, which I think is part of the meta humor here.
During that same time, yep. You are correct.
I love that. This is the only time Downey is really playing the Tony Stark thing that we know and love.
Yeah. This was, So Tom, this is a really great story. John Bernthal actually told this story. When Tom Holland was reading for his screen test, he was getting ready to screen test with Robert Downey Jr. John Bernthal was auditioning for Punisher at the same time at Marvel Studios, and they read with each other to help each other prepare for their roles.
Sick.
Bernthal said that he read the script and told him, he was like, you know that I'm not this type of actor, like I can't play this role. He was like, no, I just need somebody to read with. Okay. I think Bernthal heard that story on Conan, which was really cool.
So, do you guys know Tom Holland? The only reason that he technically got this role, because it was a toss-up, was because he was over the age of 18, and they didn't have to abide by child labor laws.
Yeah. But the great thing is he looks young, because I think they said he's going to be a sophomore in Homecoming.
I could have seen Efron in this role, actually. I know he's been rumored for a lot of big roles from Star Wars to DC and stuff, but I think they got him right.
Efron is also rumored for Iron Fist in the Netflix movie, or show, I mean.
This is great. And Geiger, I'm interested to get your opinion on his suit, Geiger, because I know, obviously, they don't want to go through the origin story, but, like, really, it doesn't make sense as a 15, 16-year-old kid that you could make a suit like the one Tobey Maguire made in.
I think that people really need to pay close attention, and I guess I can touch on this now since we've finally got to see Peter Parker, but I did not like him when I first saw him in theaters. I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. I think the reason I didn't like him is not because they did it wrong, is because I've changed as a human from being an 8-year-old kid reading Spider-Man comics to now. I'm more like the badass Ben Affleck kind of Batman thing, but they played Spider-Man perfect, I believe, and Peter Parker. Just looking around, he's a poor kid living with his aunt. He's a dumpster diver. He has a shitty Macintosh 1995 computer. There's no way he could make a fucking nice, spandex Under Armour suit. Like, he's just going to have a shitty suit that he uses from like the winter time or something. So I did like how they're doing this, and it sets it up so well. They're not doing his origin story, but they're starting from the beginning. So all of his villains, all of his stories are fair game, which is fucking brilliant. Because like I said, he could be Spider-Man for the next 20 years. He's so young.
Kevin Feige has said to his solo movies, like, look, with Spider-Man, he has so many good stories where he's dealing with a dynamic that you haven't seen with anyone. He's trying to be a superhero, but also he's in fucking high school. Like, he wants to date girls. He wants to, like, be cool. But the coolest thing about him, he can't tell anyone because he's Spider-Man and he can't do that.
I wish we saw Iron Spider suit.
Yeah, I do too, but, like, as the first time seeing him, like, it just would have been weird.
The first time seeing him, you had to see him in just basic Spider-Man suit.
He might have it in his solo movie.
Tony Stark gave him the suit. I want to see Iron Spider. I get why they didn't, but I wish that they did, because
move the mic away from your mouth. Just a little bit, thank you.
Is this better?
I mean, just keep doing that.
Hello? Can you hear me now?
Somewhere in between those two.
Hello? That's my favorite Spider-Man suit. And I wish that they would have brought it out, but I get why they didn't. But as a fan, I'm a little upset. Hopefully, they bring it in later on. That's the cool thing, is that they still have the opportunity to bring it later on.
They're playing him Poppy, which I kind of get. That's the one reason I didn't really like him the first time I saw him. And basically, it's just because I was disappointed, because I was really looking forward to the Spider-Man solo film. I want Carnage done very, very well, and to do that, it has to be a dark theme. So I don't think they're ready to do Carnage yet. I think his story arc will develop as his movies go on, and he has certain cool scenes in other Marvel movies. But as of right now, I do like kind of where he's at and where I think they're going with him.
I mean, the Russos do a great job right here. This is like a really cool telling scene. They don't have an hour and a half to tell his origin story, what happened to his uncle, why he's doing what he does. But that's a great line where he goes, when you can do what I do, but you don't, and the bad things happen, like, you wear that. And Tony just says it like, so you just want to look out for the little guy. Like, they do a great job of establishing his character, his motivations, and also, that's just fucking cool. Like, okay, that's...
I also love the line, do you have a passport? I don't even have a driver's license.
That's a great line.
That, again, just shows the age and the burden that he may not quite carry yet, but that he's going to carry.
Another thing I want to touch on too is a lot of people I've read, and it was actually therapy for me to read that Marvel gets bashed too, since my DC gets fucking thoroughly bashed every time. But people didn't like Tony being his mentor, but I kind of like it because 10 years from now, Downey Jr. is not going to keep getting in the Iron Man suit, but if he can mentor Peter and Peter goes to him to ask questions, it'll be a really cool fucking, kind of show-up scene in a future Spider-Man movie.
Geiger, I know you fucking love Renner. I love Renner. I love Hawkeye. I wish he got more to do. This is a cool fucking entrance.
Renner should be in D.C. where he belongs with his boy Ben Affleck from The Town because Marvel totally underutilizes him. He is probably the greatest actor besides Downey in the whole fucking Marvel universe is Jeremy Renner.
The Town was fantastic. Going back to...
Sorry, let me just tell you this. Him signing on for Hawkeye would be like Momoa whenever he wanted to be Drax signing on for Drax. You totally undersold yourself. You're fucking Aquaman. Think about all the other shit Renner could have been if he didn't sign on for Hawkeye. He could have been so many other superheroes and had a bigger role. Okay, Banner, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to go back to what you were saying about Tony being Peter Parker's kind of mentor and everything.
Yeah.
It also plays back into the comics a little bit because Peter, as we all know, was the first one to come out and say, "I am Spider-Man." It was a big moment. It's kind of what started the Civil War comic arc, and that whole time, Tony was there in his ear saying, "It's okay. I'm here with you. We're doing this together," and it's similar to kind of the role that he's playing right here. Scarlet Witch is such a badass right here. Just like, I don't give a shit about your fucking soul gem. I'm just going to crush it like most hot girls.
Wow, great analogy. Hawkeye's new suit is really cool, too. It's like a subtle change from what he had before.
Yeah, it's a good mix between the two Avenger suits that he had.
It's very tactical. And Renner's just like, he's so physically gifted as an actor. Like, you actually believe that this guy would walk up to you on the street and beat the shit out of you.
Yeah. Him in The Town, my God.
So
that's a whole nother podcast that we could do. That's one of my favorite movies. I love that.
Totally upstages Affleck in every fucking scene he does.
So
which now that we kind of see is actually hard to do because Affleck can act.
So this girl right here is part of the Dora Milaje, which is the security group that protects Black Panther, which seems kind of funny because he is Black Panther, but they're badasses in and of themselves. And in the Black Panther movie, Lupita Nyong'o, who a lot of us know she played Maz Kanata in Star Wars The Force Awakens, she is playing the head of the Dora Milaje, which will be really cool to see.
This is such an awkward kiss coming up. Like, I don't know. Again, like we talked about before, I could have done without this entire line in the storyline of the movie. Although Hawkeye and Falcon and Bucky right here kind of saved the...
I mean, that's hilarious.
Yeah, they definitely saved the scene for me because this is just... It's so weird between them. It's like high school sophomore sexual tension.
Yeah, he's like, look, I have a boner. Now, no disrespect to you, but I always have a boner because I'm 15. But I just want you to know that I have one. So, like, if there's anything you can do about that, or like, I don't know.
Good thing Captain America had that kiss with Scarlett Johansson in Winter Soldier, so he's not rusty anymore.
Yeah, at the Apple store.
Yeah.
This scene was great. I mean,
this is a really good scene.
We knew he was in it.
I like that they didn't make Paul Rudd not be Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. That they still let him be him.
Were you mad that they went with laying over Pym? Because Pym is the one in the comics. They made Pym really old in the comics as Michael Douglas. Although Pym is a wife beater in the comics, so maybe...
Yeah, I was a little upset that they didn't go with Pym. I'm also kind of surprised at the same time, just because if they would have gone with Pym, well, then they could do Scott Lang later on and recast him if they needed to.
Right.
Just as a strategic financial move.
Just to talk about this, and I'm not saying they should have went this way, but since I read the comic this week, I was really interested to see who were the actual people in the comics that joined everyone. Iron Man, of course, had Spider-Man, but then actually he switched sides.
Which was like the big kind of changing point in the story.
Which I'll get to. Spider-Man should have switched sides. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, I've got some beef on that as well.
Captain Marvel was on Iron Man's side. She-Hulk was on Iron Man's side. Now, Cap's side is the one I love the most. Luke Cage, Daredevil, Hercules, and Venom were all on Cap's side.
You also had Wolverine in there.
Yeah, Wolverine was in there too. I just want to talk about, I really wish they would have had, besides Winter Soldier, I wish they would have had a villain on Cap's side. It could have been someone they've already shown. I'm not saying, I don't want them to put Venom in there, unless they're not going to touch on Venom at all. Maybe it'd been a cool thing to put him in there, but the way Spider-Man, his story arc is set up, he probably doesn't even have a villain yet, because he just kind of starting. But I really wish they could have just gave me something else and gave me a little villain on Cap's side.
So, they're here because they know the Quinjet is here? Is that why?
To be honest with you, I'm not sure because it looked like they were trying to get in the elevator.
They do get in
the elevator. Fuck me.
But they run away in the
helicopter.
They run away in the Quinjet, though, is what's kind of weird. This movie is flying by. Like, the plot seems so contained when you watch it this way.
It's 2.5 hours, but it doesn't seem that way at all. It goes pretty smooth.
So I'm going to just go ahead and jump into this so that we can kind of enjoy this fight scene. I'm obviously Black Widow is the one who flips. I'm a little upset how they made her flip. In the comics, the main reason that a lot of people flip and why Spider-Man flips is Goliath actually dies.
Yes.
They didn't kill anybody, so that upset me. I think that they should have had the balls to kill somebody. But two, even if they didn't kill anybody, there was no major event.
Did your theater freak out right here? Sorry to interrupt you. I just had
they did.
Spider-Man's first entry into the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
They didn't have any major event that made Black Widow flip. Like, pretty early on in the movie, you could tell, oh, she's going to be the flipper because she was kind of in the middle. She sided with Tony, but you could tell she didn't want to. And I had a major beef.
She never picked a side to begin with, I don't think, really.
And again, that's just as big of a problem.
Yes. You should have had someone say, I am Team Red, and then before, during this fight, or after the fight, no, now I'm Team Blue. That's what should have fucking happened. And they didn't do that. And this fight scene, I think, as well directed and stunt-doubled it was, there's too many jokes. They don't have the balls to fucking do anything. They should have had someone flip. They should have had someone die. There should have been some repercussions in this fight scene.
That's a great line by Tony where he says, you're going to stop this or you're going to come with us because it's us. He's like, we don't want to do this, dude. And that's why, and Geiger, I totally get it. This scene is tonally kind of all over the place. It's fun, but it could have been like an incredibly epic fight scene. But
at the same time,
they don't want to hurt each other. That is
I was going to say, at the same time in the comics, where if you take out the jokes, they are pulling punches, which Scarlet Witch references a little later on in the fight.
I just didn't like this because when I saw it the night it came out. No, the Thursday when it came out. It's hard to say when movies come out fucking anymore because they show them Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah, we'll just fucking see it whenever you want.
Thursday at midnight I saw this movie. Whenever it came out on Friday. And my theater was laughing during this whole thing. And I was the only one looking around. I was like, why are you laughing? This is the thing we waited for the most. This should be a testosterone-filled kick-ass. Now, Spider-Man making jokes, that's fine. That's part of his, kind of story arc and stuff.
That's what he does.
Yeah, but no, I agree. When Black Widow and Hawkeye do it, it's out of place.
Yes.
Spider-Man
and Geiger, I got to give you
that
a lot
right there when he scratches Cap's shield right here.
Because
that was fantastic.
This is a badass weapon too. That's pretty sick.
That's the thing, Banner. This is so well fucking done and choreographed and everything, but the jokes were just taking it away from me. Where I'm like, man, can you just stop fucking? Oh, here's the golf joke. That's fucking great.
We've all been there.
If Hawkeye ever misses you, I would be more fucking wary than anything. He doesn't miss. He does it on purpose a lot.
Well, and it's just like in Avengers when Loki catches his arrow and then it blows up in his face.
Exactly.
It's that same thing. Like he knew you were going to catch it. He's a step ahead.
God, to see Spider-Man in this movie, I honestly like kind of got a little emotional because I never thought Sony would give him back.
It was fantastic. Since we're on Spider-Man banner, and you talked about how in the Civil War comic arc, Peter Parker was older, he was married, so he came out, because he's been Spider-Man for a while, and said, hey, I am Peter Parker. Now, this would work in this movie because no one's really asking for your identity. They're just asking for your allegiance to the government. But I still think it would be cool where Tony said, okay, if you join me, you have to sign this, you have to give your allegiance to the government. Before he does that, after this, Cap talks to him, and he said, Tony, I love you, thank you for the suit, but I'm switching sides. I do not believe in what you're doing anymore.
Yeah.
He should have switched sides. They should have gave him an ultimatum, because the story arc works better here than it does in the actual comic, where he's an impressionable teenager who changes their mind every fucking 5 minutes. And they didn't even do it.
I can see that. Again, this is pretty funny too. Oh, I thought that was a water truck. The only...
By the way, sorry, Banner, real quick. Are you glad that this was the debut of Giant Man, or did you want to see it in Ant-Man and the Wasp?
This was perfect because, again, this big fight in the comics had Goliath in it, which was another giant, essentially. And I felt like they had to bring that element in. I was pleasantly pleased. This right here, when Vision draws the line in the sand.
By the way, real quick, I have to say this. If anyone watches Arrested Development, the Bluth stair car is seen at the airport because the Russos also directed a few episodes of Arrested Development. They're kind of freaking out because this is the one dude who can really tip the scales.
This is a great line, too, when Spider-Man says they're not stopping, and Tony said, neither are we. Like, Spider-Man even kind of says, okay, this is real now.
God, this is like, is this actually on my fucking TV right now? This is so sick.
The slow walk into the trot, into the straight-up sprint.
I'll tell you this, I would not want to be running into War Machine. Like, he's like a 320...
He's a fucking tank.
He's a 325-pound outside linebacker who can play the run and cover on the perimeter. I would not want to be charging into that.
Okay, out of all these individual matchups, who do we think is the best fight here?
Probably Scarlet Witch and Vision. Although Winter Soldier, Black Panther's tough
Winter
too.
Soldier, Black Panther, because they have the story arc definitely going for them.
See, these two don't want to hurt each other at all.
Well, yeah, they're friends. Like, they have dinner together. Right there, you're pulling your punches. That's a good kind of a, hey, we don't want to be fighting.
Now, Black Panther will kill Winter Soldier, given the chance.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the only one that, like, you actually think is going to happen. But again, that's because you can tell that Black Panther has his own agenda. He doesn't care.
I don't agree with that. Like, well, then why did you run? Like, if someone puts, like, the cop sirens on, I mean, I'm not going to just, like...
If I've got a gun to my head, I'm going to fight.
Yeah.
That's not true. I'm going to try and talk my way out of it and be like, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm never going to be in that situation.
Spider-Man is just so fucking awesome, isn't it? That's so fucking cool.
God, to see Spider-Man fighting Captain America is like...
And that... Because he has super strength, but come on, Captain America has way more super strength than he does.
And he, at this point, Geiger, to that point, it's great because, like, Spider-Man just doesn't know what the fuck he's doing, really.
This
like,
is great with Ant-Man on the Arrow from the comics.
This was, like,
I love to take any Marvel fan to the fucking woodshed on this, because they're like, my favorite part was Ant-Man on the Arrow from the comics, and I just want to put both hands on my chin. I'm like, cool, what else did you like from the comics? Because nothing else is truthful about this whole fucking thing.
But this is, like, frame for frame.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
The cover of the Avengers.
Nothing else of this show was
Jack Kirby,
true at all to the comics.
There's a little bit of Cap trying to get in his head. I don't think it worked, but I mean...
Well, they realized...
Jeff, we're on all agreement on this, right? Unanimous decision that he should have switched sides.
Yeah, but I gotta say this: you have a good way of framing it, like as an adolescent kid who's very impressionable.
Yes.
like, if you idolize Tony Stark,
Comics.
you also idolize Captain America. And they could have done it in a tactful way. The thing that would not have worked is if they tried to do it like the comics, where it's like the big fulcrum device of the plot. Like, when he switches sides in the comics, it changes everything. But that's because at that point he is Spider-Man. He's not
it could
that.
be a simple thing where Roger just sits down with him and said, "Okay, you really want to be part of the government? What if Aunt May's getting, hurt by a mugger in New York, but we need you in
you can't stop him. Like,
Yeah.
what if the government wouldn't have said you could just stop the guy that killed Uncle Ben?
Yeah.
Here's a question for you guys.
Well, it has to be said.
Do you guys think that would have happened if Sony gave Spider-Man over more than a week before they started filming this?
I still don't, because I think a lot of him switching like that or like his story arc.
That's a one scene deal. It just takes him and Evans to sit down and do a 15-minute scene.
Right, but you would have to set that up, and you would have to set up a little bit more of an origin with Peter Parker, right?
Not really. We get it already. Uncle Ben's dead. We kind of get where he's at.
I mean, they could have done it. I'm just worried that it would have felt hollow and forced it. Like, this character that we just met in this movie now has like such a big impact and is so involved in the stakes. When he's not really a superhero, he's a 15-year-old kid with acne trying to just like not have his aunt find out that he sometimes does this after school. This is awesome. So now I'm guessing in Ant-Man and the Wasp, he's just already going to be Giant Man. Like, I'm sure they'll reference this a lot, but
I would assume. They also, at one point, they tried to write the Wasp into this movie, too.
And Red Hulk as well.
Yes.
Which I'm definitely glad they didn't do that. That would have been way too much to handle.
How would they do Red Hulk? That would have been so forced.
Well, like General Ross, what's he just going to show up and like, I'm also a Hulk now? Like, in the comics, that's one of the longest comic arcs. Is the Red Hulk. The fact that CGI makes this look like this now just shows you that was a great line in the theater. Anyone on my side hiding any shocking and fantastic abilities they'd like to disclose right now?
There's a lot of great lines during this great fight scene. I was so pumped for that. There's jokes that just ruined it, but yeah. Spider-Man should be the only person joking here the whole fucking time.
Not even Ant-Man?
Paul Rudd.
Okay, I was going to say. Yeah, I agree. I don't like Hawkeye and Scarlet Witch joking. I don't think he does, but I don't want like Vision and, Black Widow joking. Black Panther, like, God, this is just, you want his solo movie so bad after you watch this.
I'm glad that they came out with this, where we get just the tip before his solo movie.
War Machine, by the way, has some badass upgrades that Tony gave him. That like stick, that little sound wave gun,
that cattle prod thing. Yeah, that was sick. I like the Star Wars reference here coming up.
I love that line that Clint has to Black Panther. He goes, "We haven't met. I'm Clint." Black Panther goes, "I don't care." I'm wondering if there'd be a cool scene where in Infinity War where Paul Rudd as Giant Man like tries to go toe to toe with Thanos. What?
Just
see again. There was
either get the fuck out of the way or give her like an actual story arc.
Yeah, there's no
just all over the place.
Yeah.
There's no significant action that happened to make her all of a sudden say, yes, we're going to go, or I'm going to help Cap. Right here, that old
movie date that has nothing else going for her. Like, she can't hold on a conversation. She only listens to house music. She doesn't like bands or anything. There's nothing else going on here.
But it's like, no, don't leave. Like, I mean, keep the leather suit on that's unzipped.
I do like the Star Wars reference there. You guys seen that old movie, Empire Strikes Back? How old is this kid? Well, I didn't carbon date him.
He's on the young side.
Yeah.
Seeing Tom Holland in this movie is kind of like the first college game we got whenever Bama had the true freshman quarterback. We're like, wow, he's going to be good for a long time. Tom Holland is going to be good for a long time in the Marvel Universe.
He's in a new movie with Joel Kinnaman, Rick Flag from Suicide Squad, that actually looks really good, and it's really dark.
Again, he's a fantastic Spider-Man right here. No, I'm good. Let's go. No, okay.
Did you guys like the Spider-Man suit? A lot of people... It's more like the Ultimate Spider-Man. It's not like the run that he had when Brian Michael Bendis was drawing him, but I think it was a good job of, like, it wasn't the Iron Spider, but you could tell that Tony had, like, an input in it.
I liked it. I mean, my favorite Peter Parker ever is Garfield. I know the movie sucked, but I really liked how he played the role.
No, he's good.
He was a fantastic Peter Parker.
There's a rumor that we'll get a very, very young, because they're like 25 years apart, but the age difference will be compressed, but like a 6-year-old Miles Morales in the Homecoming movie.
Ooh.
Geiger, I think you're a big Miles Morales fan, right?
I love Miles Morales. I was actually thinking they were going to go with him
There's a lot of talk about that. It would have made sense in a lot of ways, but I think people...
It would have pissed a lot of people off.
Well, we want to see Peter Parker in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you know? Now, Geiger, I'm going to let you go off right here because I know you have some good points about what should have happened.
Die. Fucking die.
I agree.
Make this movie worth something.
Give us some stakes.
Make some stakes higher. I was so upset when nobody died. I was about 50-50 that they were going to kill Cap, but... And then as soon as this happened, I was like, oh, well, that's cool. War Machine's dead.
We saw this in the trailer, too, Banner. This part right here.
I'm really disappointed they didn't have the balls to kill anybody.
I love Cheadle, man, and this isn't anything against him. He's a great actor. I love War Machine, but there has to be someone...
This would have made it real to all these guys.
To give him some stakes. And this right here, if he dies, you don't have to do the whole bullshit Bruce Wayne recycled fucking my parents died, so I gotta get all pissed off the person that kills him shit that you're gonna do here in about 20 minutes that I know you guys will probably defend, even though it's not in the goddamn comic that you guys are...
Well, who killed Bruce Wayne's parents again?
What?
Who killed Bruce Wayne's parents?
In what adaptation?
Exactly.
So we've done it 4 times, so then you guys... Well, this is what I love about Marvel fans. Anytime we do an after credits, you stole that from Marvel. Well, motherfucker, what about Iron Man being a billionaire playboy with no superpowers, and then his parents dying and getting all pissed off? What'd you steal that from?
If the after credit scene isn't true that it was stolen from Marvel, why is DC still afraid to do it? Their own studio.
We did one in Suicide Squad.
Then an after credit scene? Those are mid credits.
It was after the movie.
Well, if you're talking about us stealing something from Green Lantern, then yeah, there were so many good ideas from that.
You can steal anything, because we did it in Batman Returns. We did it first. I just love Marvel fans like, you're stealing it from us.
You may have invented it. We perfected it.
Okay.
And you know that's true.
Well, we perfected someone getting their parents killed and becoming the greatest superhero ever that you guys fucking...
Are you sure? Actually, Hamlet did that first, if we're going to actually, like...
It's fine, you guys did it really well, because it totally goes along with your story arc, because Winter Soldier definitely killed his parents in the story. It wasn't Ruxin Oil or someone else.
I love you guys.
You just know it. You know it's a good movie.
I know a lot of people are listening to us for the first time, because this is probably the biggest movie we've done, and it was a great timing, because it just came on DVD. We usually agree on everything.
This is good, though. This shit is boring if we're just sitting here.
The thing is I like Marvel. But after BVS came out and I liked it and everyone else bashed it, which is basically Marvel people, you guys started a war, and I've read your comics, and I'm ready to go to war with any of you guys because your comics don't match up with the movies at all. So
I liked BVS.
BVS was page for page The Dark Knight Returns, and the death of Superman.
But you have to know, there's two different arguments here. There's the movie doesn't match the comics, and it wasn't a good movie. Because there are a lot of comics that would not make good movies. And there's no way Marvel could have done this comic arc as a movie anyway.
They could have been pretty close, though. Cap should have been assassinated. Spider-Man should have switched sides.
I won't argue that I think Cap should have died, but I don't think that, like saying that Tony's parents dying...
Cap doesn't have to die. Cap should have gotten shot.
You just said Cap should have been assassinated.
I know I did say that. He should have been. But if you want to save him for Infinity War, which I totally get, he should have at least been shot. You should have thought he died kind of like BBS. I know you can't bring him back to life because you don't have X-Men, and I think that's what your story arc is. I'll be the first one to admit, man, I'm not a huge Marvel fan as I am DC and know all about this shit, but I have read a lot of the comics this week. So you don't have X-Men. I understand you can't kill him and bring him back.
Well, Doctor Strange technically could bring him back.
Who could bring him back? Strange?
Doctor Strange, yeah. Being devil's advocate, kind of middle of the road here, I think that we have to remember that, again, it all gets into financials and who owns what, the rights to what, blah, blah, blah. But wouldn't this shit be boring, though, if it was the exact same as every single comic? Like, what's the point going to see it if we already know what the story's going to be in the comic, from the comic? Don't we go and see it to see what the changes are and debate what the changes are?
It's because 85, maybe even 90% of the people that see these movies have never even read a comic.
I'd agree with that.
There's a lot of people that are like, I'm a comic book fan. I'm like, really? What's your favorite comic? Batman? Okay, motherfucker. I mean, like, Nightfall? Like, what do you got? Dark Knight Returns? And
Hush.
so a lot of people haven't even
Hush
read
is the
comics.
best Batman
That's why you
art.
could do them page for page. People would be like, that's a great story.
Sorry, real
You
quick.
should have read it back in 1956.
Real quick, the guy who was just killed in the casket, that is Joe Russo, one of the two directors of the movie.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He also has a very small role in Winter Soldier. He's the doctor who is working on Nick Fury when they fake his death. And he's hiding out in the bunker.
I'm just saying, I don't want to be that person that nitpicks fucking everything. It's very hard to be a perfect film. A perfect superhero film in my mind would be Iron Man 1, The Dark Knight, probably Batman Begins, Avengers 1. Those would probably be the perfect films in my book. But I'm just saying, for everyone that bashes BBS, there's a lot of plot holes in this movie too. And I don't want to be the person to bring them up, but since you already fucking made fun of my movie, then I'll be more than happy to bring some of them up on your story arc that the Avengers fucking Civil War comic was so fucking great. When I read it, I was blown away. I'm like, wow, actually, he doesn't hold up this comic.
Matt, I gotta ask you, did you read just the Civil Arc one, or Civil Arc, what the fuck? Did you read just the Civil War one?
We're drunk. Don't apologize.
You're out of control.
Drunk. Yeah. It's not illegal to be drunk and drive.
Did you...
Wait, what?
What?
Continue. Continue.
Did you read just the Civil War one? I think it's like 7 books. Or did you read the entire thing chronologically, jumping from this book to that book to this book to that book?
No, I didn't read the entire thing. I just basically did just the Civil War basic comic that if you went to a comic book store and it was, 30, 40 pages or whatever, you just read that.
Okay. Because there's like 100 different comics that actually follow this storyline.
Yeah.
And you jump from a She-Hulk comic to an Amazing Spider-Man to a Captain America to a New
Mutants
Avengers.
has like 4 comics that tie in directly, and then they're not even in the story arc at all.
Yeah, correct. And that's, I just wanted to make sure that we distinguish, again, for the casual viewer that's like, oh yeah, I'm a comic book fan, that you did that for the research of this podcast, but I don't want to say a true fan, but somebody that really understands the story, knows the story, is going to spend 3 months reading 100, 150 books.
Yeah, but the real arc and what they would have done the movie about is what Geiger...
Yes, and I agree with that. And with all that being said, again, there's a lot of things that tie into it that you need to... There's a lot of setup for that would have taken 2 or 3 movies prior to this to set all of that up.
And I'm not being nitpicky that you should follow the comics 100% because you can't be stupid. You can't leave money on the table just like with Spider-Man. You can't start with Peter Parker that's 32. You just fucking killed probably 80%. And let's be honest, the only good Marvel villains are Spider-Man villains. Just like the best fucking DC villains are Batman villains. So you can't kill all them.
That's not true. Doctor Doom is a fantastic.
That's the
villain.
only one I was going to say that I like.
Yeah,
is
that's the only. I agree with what you're saying. With the
I agree with Doctor Doom, but you can't bring in Doctor Doom because you already fucked him up twice. Thanks,
we don't.
Fox.
He wasn't ours. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you guys did. I'm just saying it's hard to bring him in. But the best villains, you want to see Venom, you want to see Carnage, you want to see. I would like to see Hobgoblin done right, but you can't. I understand that there's a lot of stuff that you can't just do just like the comics. But I'm saying that you have to stay true to it. You can't have a Bane and Batman movie without getting someone's fucking back broken. You can't have a Superman movie with Doomsday without Superman getting killed. And you can't have a Civil War movie without Spider-Man switching sides and Cap getting shot. You just can't. But Marvel did, and everyone applauded him for it. It's a great movie.
I agree.
They got all fine, but BVS got to the chopping block. That's what I was so upset about.
Was the complaint people had with BVS that it didn't follow that it followed the comics, or was it that it was too brooding?
It was so all over the place that me and Jeff saw this movie. I went to New York to see it with him, and we both enjoyed it. And I was honestly sick to my stomach that whenever I enjoyed it, people bashed it so hard that I didn't understand it at all. Didn't understand it. And when I saw Civil War, I was like, these are both good movies. I think, I don't know which one's better. I think they're both great. But if you ask any casual person, BVS sucks, Civil War's way better, I said, it had plot holes too, man.
To get back...
to you.
No, sorry, real quick to get back. I was really glad that they introduced, because we're at the raft scene now, I was really glad that they brought this in. Obviously, in the comics, this is an awesome place, and there's a really good... graphic novel that I read called Avengers Disassemble, where the raft is a super villain prison in the comics. Like, you would come here and there would be like Venom and like Loki and like all these. So it was just kind of a cool. They'll never do that in the cinematic universe because you can't have like 1,000 characters.
Yeah.
But it was really cool to see the raft brought back in to the story arc. And obviously here you see that Tony. I honestly thought he was lying to them here to find out where Cap was, but it's cool to see when he shows up. He actually says, like, I'm here as a friend, I promise. And then obviously shit hits the fan, but that's not why he went there.
See, if War Machine is already dead now, he could have just went and just said, where the fuck is he? I'm going to kill him.
Yeah.
I agree.
Better story arc than what they're about to do, I think.
Well, this is a cool scene how he's, like, still lying to Ross. You can see, like, at the end of the day, they really are brothers fighting. Like, he's not going to fucking tell Dad on him, but he's going to go fight him himself, basically. And for some reason, not for some reason, he's very good. I love William Hurt as General Ross. Like, I just can't get enough of him. This is really badass, too, how he gets into the suit in a few minutes, or a few seconds here. Like, that's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah. Like I said, all the directing, the stunt double work, the action scenes are on fucking point in this movie. It's so good.
And I think you can agree, like, the first 2/3 of it, it's actually it's pretty dark. It's not like the light.
When I rewatched it last night, I'm glad I rewatched it, or I kind of sound like an idiot, honestly. It is dark. It was just the scene that I wanted to be dark wasn't, which pissed me off, I think.
Fair. So do you feel confident that the Russos are handling Infinity War and whatever the sequel after that, Untitled, so far is?
No, I don't, because they didn't have the balls to kill anyone in this. All the fight scenes will be fantastic, but I don't know if they didn't kill anyone in this, so it's more of a shock in Infinity War, because they have to kill people in Infinity War, right?
A lot of people. They've said they're going to. A lot of people
have to die.
They've said they're going to. I don't know. I honestly, at this point, and I totally understand, like, because War Machine here was a layup for them to kill, and it would have made sense in the story. Yep. But in Infinity War, I don't think they're going to have a choice. They have to kill a lot of people. Like, the cinematic universe is honestly getting too big. Contracts are up, and that's what Thanos does. That's why you've built him up for 6.5 movies.
Like I said, you can never bring in young people to take the role if you still have the old veterans there. They have to get out of the way so the young people can shine. Black Panther, no kid will have a Black Panther backpack if you still have Iron Man and Captain America starring in these movies. You have to get them out of the way.
And I have one question that I would like both you guys to answer as we're kind of getting into the climax of the movie here. Do you think that the reason that I think that Marvel will actually follow through with killing a lot of the big name guys in Infinity War is because they got Spider-Man back. Do you guys agree with that, or do you think that doesn't really change? They would have had the same plan the whole time. Banner, what do you think?
I'm sorry, I was watching the movie. What?
So the question is, and Geiger and I were talking about how the Russos have done an incredible job with Winter Soldier and Civil War. Geiger pointed out he's worried about Infinity War, where the stakes need to be high. It's a villain built up across 5 or 6 films where he's appeared in Thanos, and he needs to kill a lot of these characters. But he's worried that they didn't have the balls to kill War Machine in this one, which is basically a layup. I said, and I think he might actually agree with this, is why I was going to ask the question, because Marvel now has Spider-Man back in a new generation with the Netflix characters and Black Panther and Captain Marvel and Doctor Strange, do you think because Marvel got Spider-Man back, they're more likely to actually kill off a lot of these people in Infinity War? Or do you think that didn't really affect it? They had a plan all along. They would have done it regardless.
I've got 2 answers. I've got the answer of Thanos kills everybody, so that's the plan. He's going to kill them anyway.
Vision, regardless, whatever the plan ever was going to die 1,000,000,000%.
Yes, and I think that Thanos is going to kill other ones as well. They built in a safe, kind of a trap door, if you will, with Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange can bring everybody back if they need him to. If they kill everybody and everybody's like, wow, that was really fucked up, and they get its bad reception, Doctor Strange can bring them back. A flip side to that, I don't think they're going to kill as many people as they should. And partly is because they didn't have the balls to kill anybody in this movie. Secondly, Disney distributes them. Disney's name is on that. Disney isn't going to let them kill them that much.
I'll tell you why sorry, Geiger, real quick, before we let you get in. Here's what I think the plan is. Because this will make even more money in the long run. Disney knows this. You kill them, mostly all of them, the main ones whose contracts are up in Infinity War.
Part 1.
Right, Infinity War Part 1 or Infinity Gauntlet, if that's the Part 2. You have Spider-Man, all those guys that carry on Phase 4. You probably will get the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom back for Phase 4. Maybe do a Phase 5, but then the inevitable reboot in 2030. Reboot the whole MCU. It's been 22 years since it started. All new stories, all new merchandising rights. And then you have this historic collection of movies, probably 35 movies at that point, that told an incredible story. That's what I think will happen.
I don't think they're going to kill that many people in Infinity War. I think they'll kill Vision. I think they'll kill Cap because they have 2 more people that could be Cap with Warrior and Soldier. And I think they'll maybe kill ScarJo and maybe someone else that's kind of just a side project. And this is why, is this movie was made, this movie is already kind of done and made before we knew what Batman and Superman was. They don't want to kill off too many people because they don't know what the fuck DC has up their pocket. Now, it's easy to have Batman versus Superman go head-to-head versus Iron Man and Captain America, but having Superman and Batman and the whole fucking Justice League go head-to-head versus Vision and Black Panther and Falcon is not an easy fucking battle to climb. Now, they're stupid. They don't know that Warner Brothers is going to shit all over themselves and fuck this up themselves, so they don't really have to worry about them. But they're kind of smart in tactical planning, and Fox just cast in with Deadpool. You don't want to kill off all your fucking good characters because you don't know what the fuck the competition's doing. And like I said, I don't think they have the balls to do it with Disney. Disney's like, we're making too much money off Captain America backpacks to fucking kill him off.
Sorry, back to those are very good points. Back to the movie, this is kind of like obviously the turning point in their relationship. Zemo has an awesome line that I really, really like. Cap says, "You're Sokovian." Like, you can tell from his accent. He goes, "Is that what this is about?" And he goes, "No, Sokovia was a failed country long before you blew it to hell."
I'm gonna go pee because I really don't care to watch this scene because I've already seen it in all my Batman comics, so I'm cool. Tell me what happens.
This fucking guy.
Yeah, I don't know which of the 4 times Batman's parents were killed by a different person he's referring to.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
The line that Zemo has that I love is he goes, "A country destroyed by its enemies can rise again, but one that tears itself apart from the inside is dead," which is basically what he's trying to do right here.
Right. It was a fantastic, again, the misdirect from the very beginning of what his intentions are and why he was doing what he was doing. It was insane, and I was shocked by it. Again, I thought that everybody was going to come together to fight this army of Winter Soldiers, and obviously I was wrong there. I'm partly in Geiger's camp on this one of, hey, he didn't do this at all. Winter Soldier had nothing to do with this. But at the same time, you can't do everything just like the comics. I think that's what makes these movies so good, is that it's a different interpretation of them, and they misdirect us, because at the end of the day, the common fan who hasn't watched or read all the comic books, the common fan that hasn't read all the comic books, they're not going to know the difference. For those of us who have read the comic books and do know the story, it's a fresh take, and it's like, oh, cool, that's completely different. And that's what makes it special and makes it fun, and why we keep going and watching over and over again.
One really interesting line that I like that Tony says here in a little bit, it shows you like how tumultuous his relationship was with his dad. When Winter Soldier is like flying away in the second, Steve says something to the effect of like, he's not the one we want. And Tony doesn't mention his dad, but he goes, I don't care. He killed my mom.
Yeah.
Which, like, I'm just like, wow, that's fucking intense.
Don't you guys think that this fight would have just mean just as much though if War Machine died and he blamed Cap?
I agree.
100%.
I can't argue with you on that.
And I understand that you can't go 100% through the comics because of, rights to Spider-Man, or we haven't developed this character. Throwing this in, I just thought it was extremely weak, because at the end of the movie, the Russo brothers are basically saying, hey, people don't believe enough that Cap and Iron Man will actually kill each other, so let's throw this in. Now, I know they've been building it up through a couple movies, kind of, but it was just... And fuck all you all for thinking the Martha scene was bad. I like the Martha scene, but if the Martha scene's bad, so's this scene. Because it's basically fucking taking off another comic book, I feel like. Another thing I'll touch on is I like the airport scene, but I thought it was too jokey. I understand what they're trying to do. They were trying to make it kind of just play fighting, and whenever he found out who killed his parents, this is the real deal, so it got darker. I understand that, but since I didn't like that Soldier killed his parents, that's the reason I don't like both scenes. But a lot of people that did dig it, I could definitely see why they like the airport scene being kind of jokey and lighthearted, and this is like, okay, we're down in the nitty-gritty now because Iron Man's pissed.
Yeah, the stakes are higher now.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see why people like that. I just didn't like it, but I'm just one person. My opinion is just my own. It doesn't affect anyone else. But
yeah, I mean, you also like Batman vs. Superman.
I love Batman vs. Superman. One of the greatest fucking comic book movies ever made.
We've talked a lot about Batman vs. Superman. I'll end on this, that after watching it a couple more times after I saw it in theaters, it grew on me a lot more.
The only reason I bring it up, Banner, and I hate being the DC guy that brings up all this shit, is because these movies went exactly head-to-head through
the summer. They went toe-to-toe, yes. They went toe-to-toe. I'm right there
I just felt like Marvel fanboys bashed it so bad, so Civil War looked better, and I think they're both, I think they went toe-to-toe movie-wise, too. I think they're both really good movies.
I agree. I think if we did a Batman vs. Superman commentary, we would bring up Civil War an awful lot, comparing the two because of the time frame that they came out, because of some of the similarities, and I think that you need to bring it up. We've talked a lot about Marvel, but because of the time frame that we're looking at and when they both came out, it was the head-to-head battle.
And once again, Jeff, just to defend myself, everyone, I know we got a lot of new listeners on this that thinks I'm just a DC fanboy. I plead you to listen to episode 1 or any of the episodes that I'm on. I bash Warner Brothers thoroughly for the fucked up shit they do all the time. But I'm just saying that every movie has flaws. If you're going to go fucking nitpick Batman vs. Superman, Marvel's fans, how's it feel that I'm nitpicking the fuck out of your movie because I came in here very prepared, and it doesn't feel too well, does it? Because you're like, why can't you have fun and just watch this movie? Because you guys can fucking just go pay money for Batman Superman and like what you saw. That's why I'm here, to just thoroughly bash this fucking thing. Even though I did kind of like it, but the ending sucks. They should have done something totally different. This part's cool.
I'm glad that they... Not glad. I'm interested and intrigued by the fact that they blew off Winter Soldier's arm. and they basically took him out of the fight. And when this show's deleted message, I shit my pants.
Yeah, first off, regardless of whatever you think about this movie, we can all agree that Black Panther, even with a limited amount of screen time, his story arc and his character and everything about him is just so fucking incredible.
Yes. I said he stole the show.
And the other thing, Geiger, that we should be excited about, so Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, who wrote this movie, are also writing the 2-part Infinity War film. So that has me excited as well. Because they can clearly write an ensemble cast and make sure everybody has something to do.
Yeah.
This is Darren Brohl. Darren Brohl, honestly, like, his role as Zemo, he probably could have showed up and not even known he was in a superhero movie because all his scenes are very character-driven, no CGI. Like, he's there. He's, like, in a legitimate... This is a legitimate role for him.
I think that he is extremely underrated as an actor in this movie. With all the big names and the big characters and everything, his character was fantastic, and he played it perfectly, which is very drastically different from the comics, which, again, is another reason that I enjoy it.
Marvel does get really awesome actors to kind of play side pieces in their movies that are kind of villains, but just kind of there on the side. But they really get really great actors in every fucking role they have in every movie.
I love this line because this is why Zemo works. He is not your typical superhero movie villain, which Marvel has fallen into the trope of doing so many times. He literally says to Black Panther, "I knew I couldn't kill them." Like that's not an option. I'm not going to beat the Avengers. So he was like, "What can I do as a man?" The line earlier in the movie or just a few in this scene where he says, "And a country beaten by its enemies can rise again, but a country that tears itself apart from within, that's dead."
Yeah.
Great line right here.
Again, catching the bullet.
And this line is great.
Yeah.
The living are not done with you yet. God. Chadwick Boseman, just take my money.
So right here, I'm gonna shit on this scene a little bit right here. Captain America is beating the shit out of Iron Man. Okay? When he's just beating the fuck out of him. I would have liked to see Cap all of a sudden just stop and go, "Okay, we're done." Similar to what he did in the comics. Instead, Iron Man comes through, does this, let's use science and shit
and I gotta
analyze
say,
things.
That move right there, if any of you are like super nerds, you've never seen a chick naked, you'll know who Taskmaster is in the Marvel Comics, who, by the way, may become an Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. this season. Taskmaster's ability is that he can, like, watch someone fight or, like, a quarterback play football, and he can, like, learn how to do it in, like, 5 minutes. That's what Tony just did. I thought that was kind of a ripoff. I don't ever remember him doing that in the comics.
Yeah, I just wish that they would have had Cap just stop, lay it down, just like he did in the comics, and say, "Okay, we're done." Instead of having this extra little fight and then him beat the shit out of him again, rip his head off, and then kill his arc reactor, and then it's it. I just think they went a little overboard with it. Although I did like the scene, "We were friends," I thought we were, whatever the fuck it was a minute ago. I didn't feel like it was as powerful as it could have been.
Well, Geiger has a point, too. Like, even whatever power this had, it goes away when he fucking apologizes in the last scene of the movie.
This ending sucked. I was playing good cop, bad cop through this whole movie, and about 85% of this movie was spot on. It was very well, close enough to the comics to pass. When Spider-Man didn't turn and the way they ended this movie, it totally lost me. And I told you, Jeff, I actually saw this before Jeff did, which is a crime because he usually sees Marvel movies before I do, and I see DC movies before he does. But I told him, I said, "Man, I don't know if you'll like it. The ending wasn't what we expected at all, and it wasn't in a good way."
That's a great line. He goes, "You don't deserve that. My father made that shield." By the way, we can say this. As far as, like, picking a location to end the movie, I thought it was kind of cool to do it in kind of the Arctic environment.
Well, and we started the story there, which I thought was cool.
Yeah, that's true, in 91.
Yeah, when we start the story at the place that we finished the story, I thought that was kind of coming full circle. Neat as well.
Martin Freeman, just perfect here, being the guy who, like, feels real powerful while the guy he's talking to is in a fucking jail cell, but, the second he gets out...
Yeah, it's definitely our U.S. government, for sure. Like, I'm going to be really powerful, but you're definitely going to be behind bars.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the only time I'm strong.
Yeah. I'm going to be in a suit and stuff.
He's like, please, step out of line. He's like, bro, if I even got out of here and Zemo, like, didn't even really know how to fight, but he would work you over.
Tony Stark borrowed that car from me for this scene. Do you think we'll see Baron Zemo later on in the MCU at all?
I really don't.
As a scarecrow in the Dark Knight probably type deal, where he's in maybe a scene, but I don't.
Yeah.
He has nothing to bring to the table at all.
Yeah, in the comics he's like a minion of Hydra, but they're kind of done with that.
First time we see him in an Air Force outfit again, with the Air Force shirt on.
Good to see them give Cheadle some fucking meat and potatoes here to...
Yeah, this is the first time in any of the movies that he really has a meaningful part.
And once again, probably Oscar-nominated actor some point of his career. Fantastic actor. Ocean's 11.
Hotel Rwanda, I believe he got nominated for.
Yeah, I think he did.
Fantastic actor.
He's looking really old these days, gotta say.
I was thinking that.
Oh, Stan Lee has to come in.
Yeah.
Is it sacrilegious for me to say it, but like I'm getting a little sick of it?
I'm already sick of it. You don't fucking see Kane and all this shit.
Well,
DC
he's
stuff.
been dead for 40 years, but yeah.
He could. They fucking made Downey Jr. look fucking young, Jeff. Anything could happen.
I guess, yeah. By the way, Bob Kane, rest in peace. You're a fucking genius. Thank you for creating...
I do kind of like it because it's paying homage to the people that love, like my little cousins love these movies. I have to explain to them, it's like, these came from comic books that someone wrote, and he came up with all this. It wasn't a bunch of, studio pencil pushers and suit and ties that came up with these stories.
Exactly. Like, could a guy...
It's a good kind of throwback to be like, hey, man, I'm the one that fucking created all this shit.
I agree. This is something that, like, I remember as a kid, my uncle... me and him sitting down on the couch and him reading comic books to me and me being able to look at the pictures. And then now I can sit down with my nephew and do the same thing and read these comic books to my nephew as he watches the pictures and be able to enjoy the cartoons that come on the TV. It's generational, and that's what's fantastic. And again, paying homage to the people that are giving us this awesome opportunity.
I'm even trying to be the one that fights for, and I can't remember what movie did this, but anything that comes out on DVD, like Civil War or Batman vs. Superman or any movie, when you buy the DVD, it should come with a short comic, I think, to give kids kind of a background and be like, hey, man, these are where these stories came from. Get into comic books. Support this. Because the more you support it, the more comics will come out, the more stories will come out, and the more this fucking genre isn't going to die like Westerns. It can go on until, we're 80. And I'm totally for that.
Well, not only that, but just the comics in general, there's so many different genres within comics. You have superheroes, but now you're starting to get things like The Walking Dead, which is a comic. You're getting things like Preacher, which I don't even know what the fuck it is. I haven't read it, but it was...
Image, I believe it's Image Comics, the same one that has The Crow and...
Yeah, so there's different genres within this genre, essentially, and it's just a fantastic way to continue to to grow and just
hey guys,
keep the art
this
alive.
movie's over, by the way. You probably didn't realize it because we're at the exact same point as we were when we started, with no casualties and no character turns or anything. But it's over.
I gotta say, I still get really mad when a Marvel movie ends and people.
But it's a Marvel movie, so it's perfect, right? Everyone's happy.
When people just get up and fucking walk out. By the way, you realize that your argument is that Marvel fans bash DC and that's wrong, so I'm gonna do the exact same thing.
Yeah, absolutely, because I'm going to play the bully, so whenever you pick on the littlest kid, well, guess what? There's a bigger dog in the yard. I'm going to pick on you and see how you like it. So, yeah, that's why I came on this podcast to do this movie. I was really excited to do it, actually.
You act like you're like a guest, like you're fucking on the podcast. Stop.
Yeah, I know. I'm on this a lot.
You're contractually obligated.
And once again, if you're listening to this the first time, if you listen to any of our other episodes, I back Marvel 100%. I'm just sick of people picking sides.
You play devil's advocate very well on this.
Well, I think we're all in agreement that Marvel needs to do very well and DC needs to do very well, and them competing against each other, one person wins, and it's us.
They need each other to be good.
Because they're going to do more competitive stories, bring in more great actors, and do more of these fucking movies.
You know who won?
Why are you trying to fucking bash one or the other?
You know who won this summer? Me, because I got to see Batman fight Superman and Captain America fight Iron Man.
I got to see fucking Civil War. Absolutely. We won.
Wait, so what's the... Okay, hang on. Let's watch this. Love
just for definition, is this an end credit scene or a mid credit scene?
This is a mid credit scene.
Okay, I was a little confused about that. I was a little confused.
You guys took it to an extreme, so I'm not sure. It's after the movie.
But is it after the credits?
I consider any of these scenes that don't have anything to do with the plot point an after credit scene. That's what I consider them. Or setting up another movie.
Well, Marvel's like a drug addict. They added the mid credit scene, like one more. By the way, how gorgeous is Wakanda about to
I was just about to say, they did a fantastic job of showing Wakanda. They showed the technology advances and then just the beautiful scenery in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of Africa.
Look at him staring at him like, I'm such a better actor than you. Give me the keys to this fucking shit.
Yeah, he's literally like, hey, here's a body bag. Why don't you climb in it? Because I'm going to fucking murder you right now in this scene.
And he is, too. He is such a gifted actor.
God, that's such a cool line. T'Challa's like so fucking powerful. He probably is like setting a trap for someone. Like, please come. I cannot wait for that. And Ryan Coogler is an incredible director. If you haven't seen Creed, you have to go see it. So that is
very well done.
Yeah. So that is Captain America: Civil War. If you haven't listened to one of our movie commentaries before, welcome. We're glad to have you guys. Go check out Batman and Robin that we did if you're a disgusting fuck like us. Also check out The Force Awakens. If you haven't seen it, as Geiger likes to say, congrats on your bail hearing because you've probably been in prison for the last 5 months. But usually after the movie, we like to do something kind of related to it or sort of pertaining to either the next movie in a franchise or something else. So this one we're not going to get as out of the box, but I figured we could just go around and rate it. You can either do an out of 10 or a letter grade, whatever you prefer. And then I thought it'd be kind of cool to say either what you would like to see in Avengers Infinity War or maybe just even like in the MCU, like coming up more recently in like some of the movies we know. Geiger, do you want to go first on this one?
Yeah, absolutely. And I rated, just to give you guys a clearance, because everyone compares these movies, I rated BVS as an 8 out of 10. After I saw the Ultimate Edition, it was a 9. I think this is a 7.5, and it's just because of the ending. Now, I want to touch on this because there's so many douchebags out there. It's like, I didn't like this, I didn't like that. And I'm different than them. This is why. Because I will tell you I didn't like it, but I will tell you how I'd fucking change it. This is how I'd change it. One, Spider-Man has to switch sides. He has to go to Captain America's side. At the end, this is what I'd do. War Machine would die. There'd be no fucking Tony Stark's parents dying or anything. That would throw Tony Stark over the edge. So at the very end scene, Steve Rogers would be going up the stairs to face Congress for what he has done wrong and seeing what his sentence is. And then the screen would go black, and you'd hear a gunshot and a scream. So for an entire fucking summer, whatever, you wouldn't know if Cap is dead.
and we would do this on Daredevil Season 3, and there would be a gentleman named Benjamin Poindexter. And for all you Marvel fanboys that are all true to the comics and don't know who the fuck he is, he's Bullseye. So Bullseye is going to be the person that fucking shoots Captain America. He's not going to kill him because I don't know if you guys can bring him back. I think Doctor Strange could. But he's going to do it on purpose, and he's going to purposely not kill him to basically kind of the government is going to shoot him, so Iron Man is going to be pulled further toward the government and everything. So during Infinity War, what you're going to get is an Avengers team that no one trusts anyone because no one knows who fucking shot Cap, and they're going to go up against the most deadliest person in the whole universe, which is Thanos. That's what I would do fucking
So Cap is like in a coma in the first Infinity War. He can either come out at the end or in the second one?
Basically, kind of like, I think what they're doing with Cavill. He's in a coma, and maybe at the end of the first one or beginning of the second one, he comes out of the coma.
You could even have, like, Stephen Strange be his actual doctor. Like his surgeon.
Stephen Strange could be his doctor. He could be in fucking Doctor Strange first scene where Stephen Strange is working on him. Now, with Thanos, Marvel, since you didn't have the balls to kill anyone, Disney, I'm talking to you because Disney is just like Warner Brothers. You guys fuck up everything. So, what you need to do with the Thanos thing is after Thanos kills everyone, I want to be high-fiving people. I want kids to be crying. I want parents to be begging for their fucking money back because this is what Marvel does. You need to make this a fucking no music, no jokes, Batman fucking Bane breaking his fucking back scene and bring back some of the dark shit that you guys, I don't think, do that well. I think DC does well. You guys do the jokey stuff well. You need to meet in the middle somewhere. The Thanos scene really needs to carry some heat for me. It needs to be one of the darkest, craziest, what the fuck scenes ever in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, in my opinion.
I mean, the Bullseye shit, especially, I'm definitely on board for.
I got a question for you on going along with that, and this is actually something that, if it came up, I was going to pose. Do you think mixing the movies with the Netflix shows is going to diminish one or the other, being that the Netflix shows are so dark and they're drastically different than the movies, and the movies are a little bit lighter, have the jokes. Once you start to mold them together, don't they become the same thing and they lose their effect?
I was to that side too, but having a Netflix guy shoot Cap makes it dark. So you talking about that during Daredevil the whole time, and that introduces Bullseye, who's just a basically paid assassin.
I'll say
it
this.
Makes it dark.
Banner, that was my thought as well, because tonally they are so different. And Geiger actually brought this up to me a little while ago. I think mixing them is always going to be very difficult to do a delicate balance, and the characters need to stay true to themselves. But the reason I think they can still exist in the universe together, and even narratively in some formats where it's tactful and makes sense, is because the Avengers are trying to save the world, and the Defenders and Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage are just trying to save their fucking neighborhood. Like, the Avengers, Earth is ending. Luke Cage just doesn't want a gangbanger to fucking kill his aunt this morning. Like, that's like all he cares about.
They have not connected them. They have not connected them. Having a couple actors in a movie for 2 seconds is not connecting them. Having something like the superhero act actually happen in Civil War and having it transform through the Netflix series, and people will be like, what the fuck am I going to do? Am I going to sign with the government, or am I going to be an outlaw? That's connecting them. Just saying, hey, we have a TV show. They're not doing anything different than DC is doing besides having Flash show up for a fucking minute in a movie. That is not connecting them at all. They need to connect them on a story arc. And put the whole story in together, I think.
And I don't blame anyone for not seeing this, but the only exception is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they've had quite a few movie characters crossover on that.
Yes, crossovers, but not.
And again, that's Disney, ABC. ABC is owned by Disney. That's you're right, but that's different.
All right, Banner, real quick before we get to the Spider-Man post-credit scene, what would you rate it? And if you can't get into what you want to see in Infinity War, we can do it after this.
I gave it a 9.5. With that being said, I wasn't a fan of BBS, and I gave that a 7.5.
All right, hang on.
This is so Peter Parker.
With the overbite, I hope Steve with the overbite is in Spider-Man Homecoming. She's like so onto him. It's like not even funny. I'm wondering what this will mean for Spider-Man: Homecoming, because obviously Robert Downey Jr. is in it.
Well, once again, to me coming up with better ideas than the studio does, his black eye when Zan asked about him, why didn't he just say, "Oh, this kid named Flash Thompson, he's kind of picking on me"? That would have been fucking awesome.
Well, Flash Thompson's, I mean, he's in Homecoming, but I think they wanted to make kind of a funny, like, reference to Steve with the overbite.
Going along with what I want to see in Homecoming, I'm going to go with Homecoming just because that was kind of what we just saw.
Yeah.
I want that scene to be in the middle of Homecoming so that we start Homecoming before he goes and fights the Avengers. Then all of a sudden we have
that'd be cool.
Just a reference that, hey, he went to Germany, he did this, and then Homecoming ends after that.
That'd be cool.
That's a little something I've been toying around with. As far as Infinity Wars, I want them to. I kind of want them to kill some people off. I want them to have some balls. I want them to go down that hole and kind of see what happens. They can't be afraid of what the other studios are doing. They have to do their own thing. And they haven't missed yet, in my opinion. I mean, they didn't hit home runs; they hit some doubles. But everybody's going to strike out at some point, and if you're going to go,
I think Iron Man 3 was a bunt single down the third baseline, but we can talk about
what
that.
do you think of my bullseye theory? Wouldn't it be cool to have a who shot JFK, who shot Cap during this whole fucking story arc? Because you love Daredevil fucking villains.
Yeah, I think
Cap should have been shot at the end of this.
Cap should have been shot at the end of this. I think it would have been cool for them to. Your ending is cool. It's a good idea. I think that it would have been cool, though, instead of having it be Bullseye, have it still be Sharon Carter and have her be mind-controlled by
do that.
by Red Skull and bring Red Skull back. Because Red Skull, he's going to be back at some point, I think. And if not, then that's a travesty. But why not go that and then go again back true to the comic books a little bit, which, again, to your point, they got a little away from. I wouldn't have been mad at that.
I'm just saying, we're just three dudes that like to drink and have our wives yell at us and have to get up for work tomorrow morning. But we actually came up with something that had, precautions. This movie started at a point. It basically I went into someone's house, trashed it, but then I put it back exactly the way that I found it. There's nothing different from the start of this movie to the end of this movie. Go to any fucking movie, Marvel, DC. It starts somewhere, then the Joker comes, and it changes everything. Now Batman's a villain, Two-Face is dead. Everything's changed. What's going to happen in the next movie? This movie ends the same way it began. There was no precautions. No one died. A couple people got a couple black eyes. Cool. And a couple new characters were introduced. Grab some fucking balls, kill someone, or fake kill someone, end it on a cliffhanger, do something. But basically, Stark and Cap were cool when they started this movie. A little bit at odds. They were definitely at odds in the middle. And at the end, Cap gave him a fucking note and said, "Hey, man, if you need me, just let me know." There's no precautions at all.
So as far as rating this movie, I would give it a 9 out of 10. For perspective, I gave BVS an 8 out of 10 after theaters. Saw the Ultimate Edition, had to up that to a 9. Really difficult to pick out flaws in the Ultimate Edition of it. With this movie, for me, I just feel like as far as I don't think I've ever seen a better ensemble movie. No disrespect to Joss Whedon and the Avengers, but there's really not many superfluous characters. Like even guys like Ant-Man and Spider-Man who are in it in relative bit roles, I think still serve a nice purpose and obviously pay good homage to their characters from the comics and really kind of helps do some fan service there. I definitely agree with a lot of Geiger's points where there was great opportunities for stakes, and it just felt like they kind of pulled the bat back and weren't able to really take a swing at those. War Machine, especially, the Cap getting shot by Bullseye or someone else at the end in a cliffhanger leading into Infinity War would have been awesome. But again, and Geiger, you always preface your things with this, so I got to respect that, where you don't know what the plan is going forward, so you can only make your recommendations on what you've seen.
Everyone always said, well, this story arc will be better going forward. I'm just talking about what I've seen. I'm not in that room where they're talking about where this is going to go.
Which is a travesty.
Yeah, which sucks, because we should be in that room, because we'd make better decisions than some of these guys do, I feel like.
Going forward, what I really want to see, The main thing is the Russos had a quote today where they basically confirmed that the Netflix and TV characters will at least have some role in Infinity War. That's an unprecedented move that is going to change multimedia forever. I'm really excited to see that. And I don't think that's hyperbole because nothing else has ever done that. And I'll say this. Marvel and DC need each other. Marvel is the... And again, both of these mesh in a Venn diagram of these things, but Marvel is the slightly more lighthearted, more character-driven ensemble pieces. DC is the dark, gritty, visceral, sort of like emotional-driven character pieces, but they need each other. And if Marvel crosses their TV into their movies successfully, eventually DC will do it too. That's the main thing I want to see going forward. I'm also just incredibly excited to see Thanos in a full movie because I don't think there's ever been a single character built up over so many movies and so long a time as he is. And I'm really excited for that.
I agree with that point. When Marvel needs DC, DC needs Marvel. To the same effect, Warner Brothers needs Marvel, Marvel needs Fox, Fox needs Warner Brothers. If there isn't competition between them, all these superhero movies that we love so much are going to get stagnant. The reason that all of these movies continue to get better is because of the competition and because they keep raising the stake to each other. And like you guys said before, we're the true winners in this, not them. Granted, they're making a decent chunk of change, but we're the true winners. We're getting, for the next 5 summers, we're getting at least 2, if not 3 of these movies a summer. I mean, that means that this podcast is going to go at least 5 or 6 more years, which
will affect my marriage.
Yeah, I mean,
absolutely. It should. All right, guys.
I apologize to all our listeners because I feel like I'm the guy that's kneeling for the anthem right now. But I just want to say that I just feel that
at least you're not benched.
Even though DC, there's a lot of stuff that I have bashed on this podcast that should be bashed, but I just don't think that them and Marvel get a fair shake. I think a lot of stuff that DC would be like, that's stupid. I'm like, I don't think that's that stupid. It's pretty true to the comics. And Marvel can just go clear off the comics, and everyone is like, oh my God, the Ant-Man thing, that's true to the comic arc. And then they love the Civil War killing Tony's parents. I just want to pick it off. Like I said, man, it's like, if you want to grade on a curve and then bash DC and then grade on a curve of Marvel, that's fine. But, I wanted to be fair. And we could watch BVS next, man, and I could definitely bash that movie and also talk up some of the stuff, too. I'm just saying that I think in the scale of it, after the summer is over, I think both these movies kind of hold the same pedestal, really. They're both good movies. They also have their flaws, too.
And I think we can all agree, and that's actually, I think is a good point to end on. The reason we have this podcast is because these types of discussions are honestly like what makes this stuff fun. Like, differing opinions 100%. Where people can come together, and it's not like argumentative for the reason of not bashing anything. Like, all of us, and especially you, Geiger, you never complain about something unless you either say, A, what you would have changed about it, or why you don't like it. You never say, that's stupid.
Yep.
Guys, if you've stuck with us this long and you're still watching the DVD on your menu like I am, getting a chub looking at Iron Man and Captain America fight each other, we appreciate it. We have been the Fan Bros Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Fan Bros Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes at Fan Bros Podcast, which you probably have already done.
Leave us a review.
Leave us a review. Drink an ice cold Zemo while you do it. That check.
Ask us Twitter questions. We love those. We love to
Please send us Twitter questions.
We actually have a regular podcast that we're going to do, too.
We do.
We talk about a lot of topics that we answer Twitter questions. So
and let us know the next movie you want us to do this commentary for. We usually like to go like one good serious movie and then like one really stupid movie, a la like Batman and Robin. So based on that rotation,
D2?
Say that again.
Mighty Ducks D2.
We're thinking about that. We're thinking about Blank Check.
Angels in the Outfield.
The Power Rangers movie. We're thinking about Angels in the Outfield, where the dad said, "If the Angels win the pennant, maybe I'll be your father again." Tweet those. Let us know what you want to do.
Them's his fighting words, yo.
Yeah, Banner's a big Angels fan. We'll leave you on that note. If your dad is out there,
reboot that so the Angels can actually win a pennant.
All right, guys. Again, we appreciate you listening. This has been the Fan Bros Podcast. Thank you, and we will catch you all next time.